Couple of key economic data points just coming through here to kick things off on a Thursday. 208,000 initial jobless claims week over week, 207,000 expected there. We also got import-export data, a little bit to the downside overall. 257 billion on the export side for March, 327 on the import side for March, both lower than expected. Negative 69 billion balance of trade for March as well, basically in line with expectations. That's about it as far as key economic data this morning. We will get factory orders coming up at 10 o'clock this morning for March as well, but typically not a market mover. There are a ton, however, of things moving around here this morning coming off earnings. Peloton, one of those, just seeing the CEO out. Day highs right now, 14% to the upside for Peloton. We'll talk about that. CVNA, absolute monster here so far this morning, to $120 for Carvana. Still 27% short, by the way, for CVNA. So that could get a little bit interesting today. More to come tonight as well. Oh, by the way, here comes Apple.
A big one tonight, yeah. Brendo. I'm going to be sweating after the bell tonight. Heavily invested in this one, trying to pack my patience. But yeah, I want to hear more stuff about AI. I know there's events. There is the May 7th event with respect to the iPad. We also have WWDC coming up in June. But I feel like there may be some AI talk. At least there should be here on the call.
What more can they do with an iPad? That's what I want to know. Because, I mean, it kind of is what it is at this point. So, yeah, I mean, it'll be really interesting to see. Meanwhile, if you missed it yesterday, what a absolute crazy, wild end of the day it was on the back of Fed Chair Powell's testimony, or not testimony, but press conference at 2:30 yesterday following the Fed decision. If you missed it, no change coming from the Fed yesterday as expected. It was a mixed bag as far as the comments were concerned. He basically towed the line as much as he could, really, but he did slip a couple of times, I think. One of those was indicating that they now feel, and this is a real change if you remember going back to the last meeting and the meeting before that, indicating this time that they now feel it will actually take longer than expected to get that indication that they are moving towards that 2% goalpost that they maintain. And let's be honest, they have to maintain that. You and I have been talking back and forth whether, and I haven't heard him say this, but whether or not that's going to be PCE or actual CPI remains to be seen, because I have this feeling if we get to 2.0 on a PCE print, he may call it.
Going down, yeah, exactly. And he alluded to it. He referenced PCE multiple times yesterday. Didn't say anything about CPI. So yeah, we all know that that's their preferred method of measuring inflation, Brendo. But he also said that he didn't see enough, right? And that, so you know, it keeps everything a little bit. But what I did like is that he said rate cuts, rate increases were really not on the table, and that market was worried.
Exactly, and that's what really kicked off that move to the upside initially for the overall market. But then, I mean, he walks off the podium and through the door to leave the press conference yesterday, and the market just says, okay, that's enough, right back to where we were. So at the end of the day, it's basically a wash here, guys, for the overall market. Good morning.
A wash. And you know what? They always say don't fight the Fed. And when you had that comment about like it's going to take longer than expected, okay, so he's not with you. But when he basically took off any increases off of the table, well, he's not against us either. So that's fine. That the Fed is neither with us nor against us, which is great because we're in earnings season. So we got Carvana to deal with. We got Apple after the bell. We've got, hate to be a Fastly shareholder, that's not very good at all. DoorDash is not very good at all either, but Qualcomm had a good report. That's never bad for the handset names. And Chinese ADRs are looking like they might break out. BABA is so very close. It's very close to breaking out on the daily chart. It's just like one little push, and I think it has a chance to go. So I'm kind of excited for that. Hopefully BABA in the long term goes, but I think today could be an exciting one. It's not often that you get 35% down and 35% up on two pretty squeezable names like a Carvana and a Fastly and Peloton. Peloton fires their CEO up 15%. Or a step down. Maybe it was, step down. Doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, it's the workforce reduction there. 15% of workforce reduction there for Peloton, sending them up to the roof as well. But Yeah, that was fun. If you were watching trading yesterday afternoon, this Apple short. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, we should play that music again. You know, so dramatic. I like that music. People are blaming us for the market crash because that music, by the way.
Boom.
They're like, we changed the music, and ever since then, we haven't been back to like 18.6 or something on the NASDAQ. That was maybe, I think it was that day. But no, we were shorting Apple here yesterday all afternoon, and then boom, this happened. We went from hella red to Greenville. But 170 down here, I still like that level. I don't know what just happened to Apple about, I mean, I guess was it the number? I don't know. I mean, we just went from 170 up to 173. We went up $3. I was sitting here watching it. I was like, what? Apple's ripping? And then yesterday, we also were short, waiting for Powell to leave, and we were able to lose money on the way up. We talked about how undisciplined that was, and then we finally had some patience and then shorted this all the way back in as well. I feel like this morning, this number is very, very exaggerated. The NASDAQ, it's up, fine. But we dropped so huge there into the close that we're really just where we were yesterday, you know, 230, 350. Like where we are now, up 1%, is where we were 10 minutes before the close. So it was such a dramatic move down that the market, that's why you see the ES is not, well, now the ES is going, everything's going now, but there was a discrepancy there because of all the tech names. So anyways, I think we got to go bullish again, man. I mean, that's what I'm feeling. Yeah, we had a game last night there.
I was about to ask you.
And now my throat is gone.
But how did I mean, it was an exhibition.
Yeah, we wound up winning 9-8.
Boom.
After all. So we got a couple new pitchers in there. Their first ever appearances was quite successful. And man, these kids that I drafted are really good.
Barn burner?
Like, it was a barn burner. It came down to the last little bit, but oh man. Gia was up to bat there, and I think she had like must have been a 10 pitch at bat or something like that. And all these pitches were she eventually drew the walk. But it was like she got down 0-2, and then she fouled one off, and then she took a ball, and I was like, oh my God, I think that was a strike. And then there's another one that was clearly a ball. And then she fouled another one off, and then there was another ball, and then she was at first base.
The battle app, honestly, like as a true baseball fan, those are my favorite at bats.
Yeah.
You get down 0-2 and you work a walk. It's sometimes better than hitting a bomb, man. I love that grit.
Yeah, that was funny. And she steps into the plate now, and she puts her hand up and digs into. And I'm just like, I go to my coaches. I'm like, what is going on? No one else is doing that.
Yeah, but you gotta.
And they're like,
oh,
she must be watching the Jays and everything. I was like,
make sure you're set.
I'm just
trying
like,
to get set in the box.
The umpire is like a 14-year-old kid or something.
That's fine. And the 14-year-old kid needs to respect that she needs to get ready.
Yeah. And that's what she said. On the way home, we were walking to the car on the way home, and I go, why are you doing that? She's like, because I'm letting the umpire know that I'm getting ready.
Yeah.
I was like, ready? And then she gets,
Straight up.
Here comes the pitch, ball, and she's like, oh. I was like,
next she has to learn the Soto shuffle after each take.
I have to watch that again. What is the Soto?
You never seen it?
Doesn't he do like the?
I'd have to get up over there and show you, but it's not a.
I'll have to.
Anyways, like every time he takes a pitch that's close,
to
show up the pitcher, he does this like lean in and shuffle. Like I just did the greatest thing ever when I took a ball.
He's great.
Only that guy, like he's a superstar. But
a while ago, I had a discussion that I was Juan Soto and some people were Vlad, but I think now that discrepancy is far
It used to be a thing.
It used to be.
Now
we were always talking about that, like where would you start your franchise? Maybe 4 years ago or so. I don't know when. I mean, Vlad was 2021 was his big year, wasn't it?
Oh no, it was before then.
Was it?
Well, the big year was 2021, but he came in before.
Oh yeah. But his monster, like the big year that he was,
Yeah, the MVP candidate year. But now that conversation, he's not even in the conversation. That's sad. You know what's hilarious? We're talking sports.
Again, you know.
For any New York fans out there, my lesson of the day is going to be inspired by a couple of recent losses by New York teams. So if you're interested in that, not to harp on New York fans, but the Mets lost a heartbreaker last night.
I didn't know what you're talking about other than the Knicks.
After the Knicks had a big loss as well, and that inspired something. So stick around for 12 o'clock.
Okay, here we go. Now things are starting to pick up.
Right now,
things are going to pick up here. He's talking about what sports are we talking about? We're talking about horse racing, baby. You know
The
what I'm
Derby
saying? We're
time.
talking about the elite. We're talking about the elite sports.
It's Raheem, so you know he's in the building, and of course, you know he's always talking about the Derby when.
How would anyone know that Raheem was in the building?
I mean, we get
Maybe
excited.
by the way we react. All right. Yeah. Let's. Well, are we ready to go back to Brendo or wait a couple minutes? Okay.
It's up to us. Okay, we can do whatever we
Well,
want.
they're just setting up. We'll
So, no,
wait
actually,
because they're setting up.
There was something you said about like where we were traveling, and you're speaking about Apple. And look, the Fed post-Fed levels are always going to matter in terms of where did the stock turn around, where did it bounce. I always care because it's liquidity vacuums. Like Amazon was one of the names. Like a lot of charts look like this. The only difference on most of the charts you're going to look at is where it rebounded to. Like, okay, did it hold VWAP? Did it hold higher lows? Or did the stock go all the way back into the bottom? I think that's a big distinction to make. Amazon is just the definition of diddling in the middle. Like this, I was short this at VWAP. Like it was almost like a standard short in front of VWAP play, and then all you know what broke loose after 2 o'clock. But this came right back. So I think what was resistance might turn into support. So like the previous close, like 179, I think I look at that as like a support level. But that's the exact stock that I don't want to be touching today. Inside of the range. It's got to come to the periphery to make a decision. Don't want ones that are doing that. Like oddly enough, I think you're going to find so many that are like this. Tesla is a little bit stronger. I'd like to see a little bit more. Like if Tesla had done this and immediately broken out, like held 85 and going to 86, it's already in the strong bucket. But now you're sort of diddling in the middle. It's going to be a tricky range to play some of the tech names that didn't give you a clear direction from this clear V shape that we saw in the afternoon. At the edges, easier to make a call, but in the middle, watch out. And you know, just for everyone that's going to be trading Carvana today, please, it's been a while since we've had something that everyone's looking at that halts in the first 5 or 10 minutes, but that is a stock that very well could halt off of the open in either direction. So I think that's one that you want to be sure of your plan at the open, because if it takes out the pre-market lows, you could halt down. If it takes out a top Carvana here, I was just looking at, it's still on Tesla, that could be a high probability halter. Big short float, the gap is gigantic. In the aftermarket show, I was like, hey, the 100 break is probably going to have this explode. And that was an understatement. Because when it took 100, it just didn't stop for about 15, 16 bucks.
Carvana is insane. Shout out, I mean, that was $4, I think about a year and a half ago.
What was the call?
It was Morgan Stanley was $1 and then bankruptcy was imminent. But shout out to Bruce. Yes, it is roughly going to be 20 degrees Celsius in Toronto today. Nice halftime walk for Sean, you betcha. I don't understand this comment though, Bruce. I heard there is a half building or house there. I wonder if it's near your office. What does that mean? All right, I don't know. So Ramin knows what this is, so I'm gonna have to figure out what that is. All right, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's go over to the desk with Brendo.
And Raheem is here, Managing Director over at OCI Groups in Toronto. How are you?
Doing well, sir. How are you?
I feel like it's been a couple weeks since we've discussed things that are moving around, so good
All
to
right.
see you, as always.
Likewise.
We're going to touch on copper and tin this week. There's been very, very notable moves in metals that everyone's been paying attention to this year so far.
Right.
I don't think a lot of people have been really noting some of these secondary metal markets, copper, tin, as we said,
Right.
that have also had amazing years so far.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I think, you know, when you, like you just said, if I came to you and said, hey, Brendo, I got a really hot tin stock you got to look at, you probably wouldn't have, you probably would have said, okay, you know what, let me just put that
You
in
have my attention, Raheem.
let me put that at the back of the register. But when you actually go through the macro levels of, like I know when, you know, when I'm watching here, you guys are talking about AI stocks on a fairly regular basis,
Yeah.
and the tech that goes with it. And then when people start to actually go through the ramifications of where that goes through the ecosystem, you don't really need too much gold for an AI
Right.
chip.
Right.
But you need copper and you need zinc and you need tin. We've talked about it a few times, but the amount of tin and copper that are going to be required are really quite flabbergasting, to be honest. The amount of shortfalls that people see, supply issues, demand issues. I was actually explaining that to my son this morning about supply and demand. He wasn't too keen on. He wasn't too keen on my little thing. I was trying to relate it back to his snacks.
Oh, there you go. That works. That works.
And so if there's not supply, and so yeah, there are critical supply issues happening in both those commodities.
Right.
Massive upstrokes in demand in both those commodities. And when you put those two things together, again, anyone that knows their economics knows there's going to be price fluctuations that are going to have to come. And where that gets down to, that gets interesting for sort of us in the small and mid cap world, is there hasn't been enough development on that small cap and mid cap size project that the large cap guy is going to need at some point to acquire. So now you're seeing all of these things where people are now scrambling to find these sources, look at M&A transactions to acquire these assets, and start putting money into the ground to build these copper and tin assets that they're going to need in 2, 3, 4, 5 years when Elon Musk wants to go shopping again.
Yeah, this is good point. Here's the daily chart for copper futures.
Not bad, right?
Monster run. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, beginning of the year back here, it's just been straight upside ever
Right.
since. Tin looks very similar
Yeah.
on a daily time frame. So a couple of individual names that we can touch on as far as opportunities possibly. We'll talk on, I guess, mostly Toronto names here. From an individual standpoint, how would you break down the comparison here from a market cap weighting? Is there more opportunity on the mid to small end of the scale versus high?
In my opinion, again, that's because, as we all know, that's sort of we do focus on some of the more small cap names. So we do like where that delta, that torque might be. Like one of the names that we'll look at today is up 74% this year. And if you go to a large cap, you're not really going to see one that's run up 74% this year, right? So the deltas are going to be smaller. Just depends on where you want to be. If you prefer less risk, then you'll look at the large players that are constantly putting out massive numbers of 100 million, 200 million, 500 million EBITDA, and they again fall in line with the price of copper as we go here, versus the smaller guys who are bringing their projects online, starting to bring their projects online, putting out really sizable deposit results or grades, and when those two things come together, that's what you're kind of looking for. So for anyone that is doing their homework on copper, those are some of the things that you do want to look for is jurisdictional security. So Canada might be better than I won't say where, but certain places that you might not go to, or like Middle Europe is great versus other places that aren't as safe and secure.
Sure.
That's something interesting to look at, and because the grades also follow that. The riskier places have higher grades, and again, those things are all right. So it just depends on where your risk profile is beyond that.
Here's a TKO. Again, a lot of these listed here in Toronto. I mean, it looks exactly like the chart we just saw of copper just straight upside.
Yeah, like I was saying, up 74% this year. They do own the second largest copper deposit in Canada, so they are going at that. They have another asset in Arizona that they're hoping to bring on by 2025. So again, those are the things I was talking about, where you've got the people that do have the production going, and then people that need to bring assets online as quickly as possible so that they can get that sort of production backfill that they're going to need. They secured $500 million in notes to fund all of this against a slight offtake on their revenue generating from the copper. So it'll be an interesting name to watch.
Another one here, Capstone Copper as well. Again,
very in line. And again, with these larger companies, again, because they can put up these revenue metrics, people know that they are going to start developing their projects, putting capital to work, and potentially looking at acquisitions. So they dual listed into Australia. That is a very active market on the copper side, on the tin side, on the base metal side. Very active market over there. So they have dual listed over there. They just raised $430 million. So they have a bit of a war chest to go spend. And I think, again, that'll be another one you want to take a look at as they continue to put out their results. They actually just announced Q2 this morning, so anyone that wants to do some homework.
Yeah, and unlike for anyone in the U.S., the pre-market action in Toronto, very limited, especially on the smaller exchanges versus the pre-market action that we see south of the border when a company typically reports earnings. All right, I mean, you mentioned larger companies. It's that $5 to $10 range. So
that is in
all
our
relevant.
world.
Yes. All relevant. Yeah. AFM, tell us about this one.
Tin is tin's the story right there. It's at its highest since mid-22. We're up 28% year to date on tin. And the really, really interesting thing about tin is I went to a tin conference a couple of years ago expecting it to be thousands of people. And it's a really small audience because there's a really small number of people that control the tin supply. Like if you talk about a Minstore, you talk about a few of these small elementos, some of these smaller companies, they basically own the entire tin ecosystem.
Wow.
So there aren't 742 tin juniors like you'll find in gold. You find a much smaller audience. They kind of know where everything is. They know the audience and they know where they want to build. They have their current supplies going. They realize that prices are peaking. They're going to start doing additional work, looking at additional assets in additional countries to pick up that grade, pick up that size. So it'll be interesting to see where they go on all that. AFM, like you just talked about, they're near their 52-week high, trading at $1.22. Their 52-week high is $1.26, as low as 35 cents. So their market cap has picked up to just over $1.5 billion, trading 2 million shares a day. So it's been a very, very active trader. They had a good number in Q1. They put out over $20 million of net income, and announced the dividend. So they're a smaller player. They're in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they account for 4% of all the world's tin.
The chart looks great. I mean,
Yeah.
it's got back above, that's a weekly chart everyone's looking at right now. So it just got back above $1 there, holding nicely. As you mentioned, right back to near highs for that one.
Yep.
ELO, another one on the tin side of things.
Yeah, another one on the tin side, again, a smaller name, trading in the $1.30 range. They're in jurisdictions like Bolivia, Peru. They have something else in Quebec. But again, you want to look at grades. So they've got 0.12% tin, so they've got a nice little grade there. They just raised $3.5 million to go do some more work. So you're going to start to see more of that deal action happening in these smaller names as well, because of the fact that they've got these good grades, good jurisdictions, and that, again, people are going to go shopping in those markets.
And then one that's on both sides of the spectrum here, one that you're involved with as well, best ticker in trading, for that matter, on the venture exchange here in Toronto, ESPN.
Yes, for all of our basketball fans, it's we were just talking about basketball off camera. Not related. It is Hispania. So yeah, Hispania we've talked about before. Quite bullish on what they are. Obviously, I'm a director, so I do believe in what they've got there, and that's why I'm on the board. But that's one that we've seen a nice move in the last few days as well. The volume's picked up significantly. The price has gone between 14 and 17 there. And again, if you do the math on where copper is, where zinc is, and like I talked about jurisdiction, it's not a bad place to want to go visit. So you can actually go on vacation to Spain, and while you're there, one of our actual clients is over there right now, and I said, well, since you're there, do you want to just take a detour and go see one of the projects that you've invested into? So it's easy to get to. It's great, high grade opportunities, and we're sort of going to follow the path of what our former CEO did over there in Spain when he sold his last company for just shy of $1 billion to Trafigura, and they're still obviously in the region. So we believe that with these grades, with the prices that we're seeing on copper and tin, there might be some interest into these projects, because we've got one that's got existing infrastructure in place. You can actually go walk down, you can take a vehicle down a ramp and go to an underground and actually go take a look at the tin project there, and a couple of really nice high-grade copper assets. So.
You mentioned the mid-Europe aspect of that, where this is located. From a spectrum aspect, where does it rank as far as some of the other places in the world?
So again, the highest grade assets typically specifically in copper, obviously in tin, and in probably in gold as well, if you want to look at that. You want to go, highest grades will typically be in Africa and in South America. They're underdeveloped. They haven't had as much development work done versus what's been done in Canada and the US, as an example.
Right.
So there's still a ton of high grade material in both of those places. Problem with those places is infrastructure. Like I have a colleague and a client, he was telling me to come to Peru with him next week to come look at their site. And you fly from Toronto to Peru, you land in Peru, then you've got to drive 4.5 hours, and then you go up 5,000 meters.
Oh, wow.
So I said, no. I got to go to Spain for this other thing where I can land in Spain. I take a train, I'm in Seville in 2 hours, and our guy picks us up, and we're at site in another 2 hours on paved roads, and have a nice little lunch after. And
accessible.
So it's more accessible. And then you've got the lower grade countries, like again, Canada and stuff like that. You'll have lower grades, but again, infrastructure, government things. So just sort of how you mark all those things on your scorecard.
Very, very interesting end of the world, as we mentioned to start this off. A lot of people paying attention to the bigger areas of the mining industry, and I think some of these, great opportunities as we saw, but have not had very much attention paid to them. All right. Big weekend coming up.
It is.
For anyone maybe new to this segment, new to Raheem, Raheem is a huge horse racing fan.
I am.
Kentucky Derby coming up.
I am. It is one of the most exciting weekends in sports. We gather around. If we're not going to the race, we gather around, put up a mint julep, get dressed up, and sing my old Kentucky home, and watch the race. So it's going to be a great race. We've got 20 horses. There are 20 horses going. One of the favorites, unfortunately, wasn't able to get in the race because he's tied to Bob Baffert, so there's issues around that. But it's going to be a nice race. Number one most favorite horse is out of the 17 spot, Fierceness. Now it's out of 17. Not a lot of horses, because of the turn, are going to come out of the 17 spot. As an example, the number one place that horses have come out of is the number 5 hole. So the 5 to 10 spot is where you kind of might want to look. Sierra Leone is in the 2, so it's got a shorter run. Second most favorite, good speed. Might have to play catch up to Fierceness if Fierceness can get out early. So depending on where you want to be, breeder and jockey, very important. Like in any company, you've got to have a good chairman, got to have a good CEO, got to have good people on the ground. So Pletcher and John Velasquez are with Fierceness, and Flavian Pratt is going to ride Catching Freedom. So that'll be a nice run as well. And then if you want to go really, really high up, the number 5 spot has had the most winners in Kentucky Derby history. And Just Steel, speaking of mining, is at plus 2,000 on that one. So if you want to take the spot there, you never know.
There's some luck.
But yeah, I'm looking at Fierceness Sierra Leone battling it down.
And it's Saturday.
It's Saturday.
Saturday afternoon.
Saturday, 6:04 p.m. Yeah.
Great stuff. Raheem Alani, Managing Director over at OCI Group. It's good to see you.
Anytime.
As always, Raheem, a lot of great information there, but what I gathered from most of that was bet on Just Steel, and then go to Spain on vacation with your winnings. So that's what I heard. But I also don't. Why are you calling Canada? Don't be calling Canada lower grade. I know what you're talking about, but Canada, baby, it is what it is. But thank you, Raheem. I love watching horse races every now and then, but I find I used to have an idea of who was in the race, but the last few years,
20 horses.
Yeah, it's just if you don't have any real clue, it's cool.
That's crazy.
I just love the excitement around it. Any kind of big event, right? You get the anticipation, the pageantry around it. I think it's pretty cool as well. But yeah, shout out to Raheem. Appreciate all of that. And hey, maybe have a look at the good ESPN, because the other ESPN's is a dying breed.
Is it? Yeah.
Well, I mean,
no, I like.
Okay, I'm probably going too far, but I just sort of feel like the way that sports are going is we know who's winning in terms of where the eyeballs have gone, and it's all going toward all the big names and their streaming solutions. And I don't wonder where ESPN ends up ultimately, if it's still under the same umbrella, or they change some things with the way that they present and maybe get picked up by somebody else. I don't know if it'll be Disney forever, but anyways. We can talk sports all day long.
Yep.
I'm not, I used to be I love sports, and I'm a big ESPN guy, but the last few years, I don't have my online membership anymore. I don't read a lot of the articles. I'm on The Athletic now when I want to read stuff. I don't know, they're just not the same. It's what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Things are changing as the winds blow. Yeah, thanks, Raheem, for all that. Yeah, check them out. The market is starting to come down a little bit.
I think this is yours.
Oh, really? I just took one sip. Okay, wow.
Yeah, this definitely
Randy.
That's
yeah, that's fine. All right, so yeah, market. There he is. Yeah, come on, Randy. Market pulling back in, right into VWAP again, guys. Look, I was going to talk a little bit higher level. It's 9 o'clock right now, but we've talked about this 17.8 a lot, a lot. I can push it back. I don't want to get super bullish until we get above there, and that still has a ways to go. I mean, maybe, if we can get down into 17.4, 17, well, we'll get to 17.5 for sure, but down into here again, then we can maybe turn bullish. So some of the ideas that I have out that I'm about to push enter on for the sticky note have been related to that. So we'll have to wait to see if we get a pop or a drop. But right now we're kind of in the middle, and we talked about that huge move that we had in the after, but just 10 minutes before the market closed yesterday. This market move down has created potentially a little bit of a false top, in my opinion, because we're not getting back up to here. And if we are, then we can look to sell. And those are the levels that we're talking about, 17.75, 17.8. But until then, I feel like the fade could be in for a minute here. So it's 9 o'clock. I'm still bullish. Most of the ideas I have are long, and you're going to see about them in a couple minutes. But there are some shorts that I think can play, and then some big levels that can also come in. Google down into this 162, 160-ish area. That's 163. But even lower into here, I like this name a lot and think that it will work if we can dip by. So a couple ideas coming for you. There's one of them. And back over to the desk. or not?
Oh, yeah.
Adara.
Oh.
Lots of names to talk about today in this upgrades and downgrades list. Kicking it off with Carvana, already up on this earnings beat, up more than 35%. Now also getting an upgrade here from JP Morgan all the way to 130. So nice look there for CVNA. Shopify getting an upgrade here, up over 2% of this upgrade from XA and BNB Paribas. Nice price target increase for Tesla from Cantor Fitzgerald all the way up to 230. And last but not least, Snowflake getting upgraded also by XA and BNB Paribas here. Now on the downgrade side, Etsy kicking off the list here, down over 13% after earnings, going to get a downgrade from Loop Capital. Fastly, another name missing out in earnings here, down over 30%, downgraded by D.A. Davidson. UBS downgrading CVS Health, and Roku getting a downgrade here by Jefferies Financial. Lots of names to talk about here, guys.
Yeah, I feel like a couple of those names we're going to mention in the rundown. Obviously, Carvana, Fastly, yuck, yuck, yuck. But Snowflake with an upgrade, it's getting a little spicy. They don't report for 3 weeks, but we always talk about, Michael Noss talks about it a lot. You'll hear us say it as well, like smiley faces and what that looks like when a stock has been going down and rounding into a bottom. Well, that's looking like it's starting to round back up. It's maybe not there yet, but I think the way it's going, before it gets to the earnings, again, in 3 weeks, you could easily have it be taking out this 165. The 50 period is going to sit there as well. I think the first step could be today, taking out 161. And if it starts holding, that would be a stock you start looking for maybe some trend longs. The bottom, trying to get formed here on Snowflake. It's hard to say that it has yet because you haven't put in a higher low, a higher high. You still have lower lows. It's trying to put in this breakout, and then once you do that, you're starting to turn the corner on Snowflake, and plenty of time for this to go before you get that earnings print on the 22nd. So this one should be on the radar. I mean, to me, it needs to get through 65 a little bit more. Unless there's a big catalyst, I wouldn't take that break. But yeah, Snowflake, got to put that alert out. Looking similar to the bottom being put in Alibaba, but it doesn't break till it does. A break doesn't happen, and you don't have to be in a long, and I think that's the thing. Sometimes you wait for the momentum, and then you join it as opposed to picking bottoms. I think that's the case here too.
And it's funny you mentioned that because you mentioned Alibaba. So those are the two names that I've just recently bottom picked there. We're long on Snowflake and we're long Alibaba. Snowflake's in that 154-ish area. Alibaba's that 171.85. I really like this name. This is another sticky note name, which is going to be out in 1 second. So yeah, I really like Alibaba today. But the name that I like on that list, that we've been talking about for a minute, and a name that Raheem's mentioned on the show as well before, is Shopify. I mean, this name is starting to get going with earnings coming through. I think it was, May 2nd? Is it tonight, maybe Shopify? Or is it maybe it's May 8th? We'll double check that. But hey, really off the bottom here for Shopify. It's trying to base out. It is the 8th?
Yeah.
Yeah, boom. Okay, good. So right there, $68 is the 200 period moving average. You're only at 72 right now. This is a dual listed name, can be traded here in Toronto or in New York. I think Shopify has an opportunity to get back up to the upside. The point of sale, little doohickeys that they have. The point of sale is the right way, and then the doohickey,
What's wrong with the doohickey?
Terminals.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's talking about something else I learned from Raheem, man. The margin on those doohickeys, oh man. But anyways, nice move to the upside right here for Shopify. I like the name. We've seen some problems with Square lately, obviously. We'll see if Shopify starts to fund terrorists or whatever Square was doing, and then we'll move off of that. But I like Shopify being up 2% here today and an upgrade into earnings. I think Shopify is basing out and looking pretty good down here. This would be the one for me.
All right, let's get into what we need to know as we head towards the open on a Thursday morning. It feels like Wednesday? A little bit.
50-47, guys. 50-47, guys. That's where we closed off yesterday on the ES June contract. So essentially 50-50 comes back in as a level of support. The overnight high 50-90, let's say 5100 as resistance unless we're able to break and clear above it. 50-50 again as support.
Who wants a free watch list? If you haven't got one yet, Ramin does. Ramin. Go to the website, tradertv.live. That pop-up will appear. Just enter your email address. You know the deal. And then that comes right to your inbox. Every single day has everything you need to know in the pre-market daily. Yeah, that's Carvana. It's 27% shorted, and it's up 40%. Because people are buying cars out of vending machines,
They like it, Brendo.
apparently.
I don't know. So look, I delved a little deeper into the business model for this company. They do interesting work here. They have an entire reconditioning side for their company where they take essentially beat up cars, really work to clean them up, fix them up on a wholesale cost basis, and then resell them at a good profit. You know they're averaging about $6,500 worth of take-home money per car.
That's not bad.
That's not a bad look. So they beat Brendo on the top and bottom lines, and the guide was kind of good here. So we'll keep an eye on them.
I wonder how much of that has to do with the current state of the used car market
point.
versus the actual value of these beaters they're trying to sell. Trying to test the highs right now here, guys, for CVNA.
So I actually did the research. Doohickey margins are larger than widget margins.
Okay.
So they're in the right space.
Makes sense.
And I'm guessing Carvana is selling a heck of a lot of these things because we actually, Sharif brought up a good point there about some of the different business models that they're in. You know, refurbishing cars, getting them going back up to the upside right here. Beautiful base at 115 if you're going to try that. I mean, Neil's already said, I think, what I think about this as well. It's going to be so volatile off the open that this will halt. So I almost think that you want to wait for the first halt and then see the reaction off of that, whether or not it's an upside or a downside. So a halt means you're going to get 10% move, and that could spark either direction. I don't know which one, but 29% short, I believe, something like that, is creating this spark up. Look, better numbers all over the board. They were left for dead. Carvana is, I mean, you want to talk about a big middle finger to the shorts. I mean, this is it. And this is why I was talking about when you're looking at names that base out and then get going into earnings, they have this opportunity. So Carvana did it. I'm not going to break down the numbers. I mean, I can't say like, oh, you know, based on those numbers, 40% up makes sense. I mean, it doesn't. It doesn't. This does not deserve the valuation most likely that it's at. But at the same time, that's not the story here. You know, it's a huge short float. People bet against this company. Rates are still high. I don't love the used car business, but you have to love the stock. So to break down some levels, I would just say, you know, the 200 period is here at 110, 111. Let's see where it settles out. This is just a minute chart, so after a couple more minutes, you know, by the time 9:30 gets here, we'll get that smooth a little bit. But 112, 115 Carvana, but it's not in my wheelhouse. You know, like I lost yesterday, I'm tracing those weed stocks. So
if it holds down at the open, I think like there could be some people like overly exuberant as to how far this can go. Because if you pull out, I could pull out a weekly chart that shows you the next level from 100 is like $150 or something. It's insane. So it's right in the middle of a no man's land between like 9,500 and that. So if it does halt down, I think that could give you something more reasonable. Because when I sat down, my first thought was it probably tries to gap fill underneath because that's up so much. And then where are you looking to buy? Like $100 because that was a previous resistance level, and maybe you look for some kind of a bounce there. And then 110 now sets up now that you've gone a little bit higher. So if it halts to the downside, I'll be looking for something along the lines of a reopen that holds that previous halt price. If it halts to the upside, then we'll pick the levels as you go if it halts to the upside and just try to find, if it just starts going ham, some kind of a reasonable entry. But I'm expecting it's going to be a dip opportunity. I won't be sitting on any bids on this stock. There's no chance. If it's going to come down in, I need to actually see, I'd rather be late to some buyers buying it back up because this could drop $30 and halt a couple of times, and there's just no point. It's not like dip buying Alibaba, which I'll probably do today. You know, like that'll be at least reasonable and controlled.
Margin.
Oh, no.
Which is like normal.
It's not that good.
Yeah, all right. Qcom day highs here just took out the highs, came right back in, but nice beat for Qualcomm. Also raising their quarterly dividend to 85 cents. And Q3 guidance, yeah, better than expected as well.
Everything was really good here, Brendo, everything. Earnings were an absolute beat, $2.33 billion in take-home money. Compare that to last year, 1 3/4. So that was a big beat there. They also beat with respect to revenue, versus what the street was looking for. The street was looking for $9.33 billion. They put 9.4. Their moat, though, Brendo, is they primarily make devices or components, I should say, for Android devices, not really Apple. And they did mention that the handset business was starting to pick up. but again, focusing more on Android, higher end Android devices like the Mate Pro that we saw released by Huawei. So interesting data from them, but not specific to Apple.
Unlimited demand when it comes to that market for sure. 6%, big day here so far.
All right, thanks, Raheem. All right, so yeah, Qualcomm. Again, old tech, but at the same time, it's been working, right? And today you get a nice little move back to the upside. A lot of these names are going to look like this, where you've just recently had a good move down. And I put a tweet out yesterday, 2 nights ago before the Fed. And it was just, look, the earnings, no matter what comes through the Fed, the earnings are going to tell the story. So like yesterday, Qualcomm has these moves and then gets faded all the way back to 164. Okay, great, you know? But like then the real story happens and now you're breaking back out again. So it's just like you gotta trust in some names that you believe in. It is very similar to day trading in the fact that if you're looking to invest in something, a name like Qualcomm right here is trying to break out again through this level. And we're getting close, and now we have the catalyst to potentially do that. So, you know, again, with the market being a little unstable here this morning, I feel like it's holding the bid. So I could be completely wrong here. And if so, I have some long ideas. We'll talk about those. Qualcomm, not a name that I'm familiar trading with, but when we talk about earnings plays, it's very, very simple to me. Let it open up and then see what happens. You're playing the gap back to what we call VWAP. So, I mean, I'm not going to put an anchor down here or anywhere. I don't believe this move yesterday affects any stock other than giving us a reference price. Today, you're up to 174. Like this move only mattered if you were A, day trading, or B, panic sold some shares in your long-term account, which I don't know why you would do that in the last 10 minutes of a market. So, but anyways, 174 up here. I like that level. VWAP's at 173. No volume, which is a problem for me. Let's see if it can hold 173 and then hopefully take VWAP back to the upside. To me, it's a breakout. I just don't know if it has enough juice today to go up 8-9% to break it out.
Especially breakouts need volume. That's one of those things. Like if I don't trust that the volume's going to be there because I don't really trade Qualcomm, then it's hard to like that breakout. The one thing it does at least give me is when we look at those post-Fed levels, like any key level on a Fed day that can come back into play, like the 170 in here, like it tagged 170 like everything in reverse, so that was a good level, and it was the previous day high and the day high before that. So I feel like if it dips back into that, 170 looks like a good spot. You're 6% up. You're $4 away from it, and you're not doing any volume. I think that's going to be a pass for me on Qualcomm. But if we are pulling back early, and I see this base out at 170, I think that would be a reasonable long because it's shown you that level multiple times.
All right, let's go on to Microsoft. More investment coming on the AI side of things today. I mean, this is kind of a secondary story. Nothing significant from Microsoft. Nice gap up here so far pre-market, but huge move. This was one of the better ones as far as the Fed was concerned yesterday, and again came all the way back in when all was said and done at the close.
What a move back down, unbelievable. Yeah, look, in 2021, they announced that they're going to expand into Malaysia and Indonesia. They were already in Singapore. They've already had a data center there. The Thailand edition, that's the new thing here. So we've already known about their ambitions to expand into Asia back from 3 years ago. You'll recall last week we announced that they invested $1.7 billion in Indonesia, yet to be determined how much you're going to spend in Thailand, Brendo.
We were just talking this Wendy's as well. It didn't move on this, but Wendy's forecasting beef and fry inflation and chicken deflation.
Are the eggs going to be cheaper, Brendo?
That's all we care about, right?
Well, oddly enough, when you talk about the fast food places, food inflation isn't their problem. The problem with the fast food joints is that like their costs overall are going up more than like your groceries are. So like if you're like lower income is running away from eating out because of that to a certain extent. So that's their trouble, and some of that's going to be labor costs as well. So I mean that's hurting Starbucks. Yeah, okay, food prices go up, but then comparatively they can go up everywhere else. But I think once you run into the trouble of the value proposition not being there for fast food, then you start having some issues. And Starbucks running into that. Back to Microsoft for a second, because I'm not really gonna Like, I don't know what Wendy's is doing. I haven't traded Wendy's in quite some time. I can't convince my daughter to eat Wendy's over McDonald's, even though I love Wendy's and a good Frosty every now and then. But Microsoft in 402. So this is another diddling in the middle stock. However, you've got, and how many times you can see this? We just talked about this with Qualcomm. Previous day high, and then the previous afternoon resistance level and close of Microsoft 402 to 402 half. So that's your resistance spot for Microsoft. If this takes out the half, I think it can be gonzo today. It's double bottomed, effectively double bottomed, and you didn't get there. Yesterday's plunge put in a higher low, but at the open and previous close, and then double bottom in here off of 390. Technically, I think it was 388 you were mentioning, Sean. So you get that little double bottom. I think it has a chance to break it out, but it's got to get there. We're not there yet. We're like $4 away on Softy, but it just has to get there. And it's a similar. Tesla has a very similar setup where the Fed high, previous day high, they all align in exactly the same way. For Tesla, it's like a 186, and that looks bullish above that price as well. But hey, this is so many breakout levels today that if they don't hit, you're just going to have to look elsewhere.
Yeah, so, yeah, what do I have? I have Starbucks up. I was like, why do I have Starbucks up? It's because yesterday into the close, I don't know if this is going to go down because I think Starbucks still goes lower. But there's a level, I think it's on the weekly, which sucks because I've called up a daily here. But this 72 level, we had talked about that yesterday. We almost got into that. Like, that was a level that we had talked about. It doesn't matter because it was into the close. But what I'm getting at is Starbucks now looks like it's up 0.6, but it really tanked into that $72 mark. I like Starbucks to buy it, potentially to start dollar cost averaging if you like the name. I'm not sure. Their CEO seems a bit, so $70, it's not Howard Schultz or anything. $70 down here, probably a decent level. I still think we can get there in the next couple days. So watch out for Starbucks. And as far as Microsoft, we are going to go with the sticky note trade here because you know what? I put this on for today. Microsoft, it is going to be one of the top names I'm looking at. I don't have like a ranking today where it's like 1, 2, 3 on here, but I like Microsoft. I wrote down that, this 394 level, yesterday's close plus the new AI investments. Microsoft's not hurt by any AI talk, so I feel like it's a good little opportunity to pick it up. But the thing I wrote down is the market could get pretty rocky here. I'm not super convinced in a hero long, but if we can get into this area of 394 again for Microsoft, and we're not that far away. For Microsoft to drop $3, it's already dropped $2 here in the pre-market. Thank you, Randy. We had talked about how we're very tired today.
We've done the McDonald's thing again?
All right, cheers. Mustard.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Yep, that's mine. All right, down into here though, 394. I just want to try that long. So I have a bid right here, right now. I think this could get real spicy, real early on Microsoft. And the thing about this is, I've sort of missed Meta. Remember I talked about I wanted to buy Meta on dips because I got out of it. But I'm just actually wondering, what is actually a better long-term play? Meta, which has a lot of levers for sure. Big advertising space, if that ever changes, there may be some trouble there. Plus, obviously, the continued, both these names are going to have, antitrust issues and things. So I'm kind of comfortable with all of that. But maybe Microsoft is the name that's been beat up a little bit too much down here, down into this 390, 395 area. So if there's other traders that are thinking like that, like I am, this is the biggest dog, and it's not trading well. Well, eventually it's going to. I feel like Microsoft could be the name that gets going. I like Microsoft down here into 394, hence why it is in the pole position of today's sticky note.
Because it's like shorter haul business type flights. Let's talk about DoorDash here. Downside, we were just commenting, Sharif and I, on the fact that, record sales, $2.5 billion here for sales, but a wider loss, 6 cents versus 4 cents expected there per share for DoorDash. And you and I were just saying, neither of us, I don't think we've ever used DoorDash.
No. I haven't used them. And there's another one in Canada called Skip the Dishes. Haven't used that either. It's almost been exclusively Uber Eats. Let's talk about how they did, guys. Total orders increase, as Brendo mentioned, 21% year over year, yet they also turned a loss. They lost about 6 cents a share. The street was looking for 4. That's not a good look. Also, the company posted sales of $2.5 billion. That was a little bit better than what the street was looking for, but the earnings really did come in light, Brendo, about $371 million loss.
So we are, what is this, 8.5%, and that's off the lows, obviously, for DoorDasher.
Yeah, this could be maybe it goes down 10% kind of moment, so it'll set up a potential SSR bounce. It does have a bottom. You can already sort of look at it on the daily chart, like underneath 110. It ticked off that on the earnings play, and then you're going to see it already move to the upside. So it would have to drop another 1.5% to be 10% down. That sets up, there was this 113 level, and then obviously 110. One of those two shows me a bounce, reject a break underneath, and then the higher low, and then I would look for the SSR bounce. The one that never happened, you mentioned Starbucks. I was going to say this is a day 2 play. I never actually got an SSR bounce in Starbucks. Never really set up. I liked the 71 when I looked at the daily chart, and this is day 2 SSR, even though it's gapped up. So any move down, short sellers need an uptick to hit the bid, and sometimes that can show some strength. So a couple of places where it would make sense for an SSR bounce would be the previous close, which is diddling in the middle at 74.5, and then that post-Fed bottom, 73.5, looks a little bit juicy there. So DoorDash, Starbucks are the 2 names I'm looking for SSR bounces, but it has to show me that wick bottom and then the higher low setup. That's the only way I want to get in.
DoorDash, yeah. So I don't really ever trade that, but the thing about I wanted to look at here was Uber, because we just mentioned that, and I think that was a good look by Sharif. Uber has so many, again, different levers. It's kind of like that Microsoft play. The thing that scared me, and a shout out to Nelson, who mentioned this to me a long time ago, as soon as that robo-taxi stuff started to pick up a little bit, I was mentioning, potentially selling Uber and buying Tesla on some of that news. That trade has turned out to be a killer trade. As Tesla has basically bottomed at that 140, now up to 180 today. And Uber's really just found a base yesterday. So nice move up there. We talked about, some of the violence that had happened late in the day. But $70 looks like a decent breakout for me on Uber too. So, with Dash's, let me just see where Dash was again on the daily, just to see, because we just talked about the space and what's been happening. Down 9%. So I was just looking because I don't want DoorDash to continue to fall down, because if it continues to go, then Uber is going to catch some tailwinds or some headwinds from it. So yeah, DoorDash definitely has to hold in and around this 110, even a little bit higher than that, like 112, 113 area. If that can hold, then I do think Uber will catch some of this back up to the upside. So should be up a little bit more. It's still just barely up from yesterday's close. Feel like Uber can get going here. As it settles a little bit down from the storm that was the robo-taxi.
All right, let's talk about Wayfair. I mentioned earlier Carvana 27%. It was 29% for CVNA. W is the 27% short side of things, but also has earnings here today that were better than expected.
All right, so here is the look, Brendo. So they printed about $2.73 billion in revenue. That's down, actually, from what they did last year, $2.77. However, their bottom line actually improved. So they printed a quarterly loss of 32 cents a share. Compare that to last year at this time, they lost about $1.13 a share. So it looks like they're tightening up some of their costs. They're down about 18.1% year to date, but up 17% on the day.
Yeah, I was just reading this from Ben Zinga as well, but it depends on where you look as far as short percent goes. What is the actual number here? 21.84 million shares currently, according to this note anyway, sold short here, guys, for W.
Yeah, and I feel like it's right on the precipice. Like a 60 break would seem logical. Yeah, the 50 period, the 200 period moving average both converged right in here at $59. It needs to take out 60. The volume's actually better than I expected. It's already done 1 million shares. Some of that's going to be in the dark, but I just feel like I'm going to be looking at Carvana today, And with the SSR day 2 plays I was talking about, the short sell restricted, that'll be in play. Microsoft, Tesla, both going to be in play as well. I like an AMD off of the Fed levels yesterday in the afternoon to short. And then, look, there's a lot of people have asked in the chat, like, talk about NEO. NEO delivery numbers were good. It gapped and then continued yesterday. It was a pretty much most of the day rally that double topped right here on the Fed at 540. I had one long, not the 40 long, but 5 into 540. I was pretty much holding the last little bit when all that Fed stuff happened. You're now gapping back above that. So you have a double top at 540 on NIO. If it can hang on to that level on any kind of a dip, then I think the continuation can be on for NEO, at least until this gets to like $6.30. I think it's got some runway to go to the upside. So gone are the days of, I shouldn't say that, that's way too much. For now, NEO is breaking out. And as long as it holds the previous day highs, I think that's the first level to look for a dip by, that 540 on NIO. I'll have this and Alibaba, mostly Alibaba if it breaks out, on my radar. But NEO was a good trade yesterday, and I look for some continuation. It might have finally made a bit of a bottom. There's your smiley face.
Yeah, I feel like some of these names have definitely, head into that area. Oh, yesterday for the recap show, we forgot to do this update on the side banner. Did you guys notice that?
So we eventually...
I was sitting right here till like 4:15.
Well...
What happened? Okay, I was just looking at it. I was like, going to update it because I was like, okay, we have Brian Shannon on. I'm like, what? I already wrote that down.
We had a great time with Tammy. It was not Brian Shannon.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
They did it.
Oh, you already did it. Okay, you got it.
They did.
Okay, good.
I did forget to do it, but they did it.
Yeah, I know. I should have done it. I was saying, like, I was right here. Anyway, shout out to Bruce in the chat here, and we looked this up. So this is that half house that he's talking about here. So this is what it looks like. It's not super close to where we are, but it's here, and it's a walk. It's not too far. And then just some more pictures. It just looks wild from the street. Like some of this street view here.
Hard pass.
Is like, look what it looks like from the side. I don't know, man. This looks really strange to me. But I don't want to scroll too much. Oh, there it is. So yeah, like a bird's eye view. I don't know, weird. Weird for me. I don't know, kind of cool though. Wayfair. A name that I really like here that we didn't get to because there's only a couple more minutes left, so thank you for all that. This is a sticky no name again. I like Tesla. I think the upgrade is real nice, man. Any kind of a dip buy. I am expecting a little bit of violence here off the open. I do think we could dip buy into Tesla, so I am bidding down here. This is trade idea number 1, 2, or 3 on the sticky note is dip buying into Tesla. And then honestly, Alibaba, I mean, what a great, just to talk about it, we've been buying this name for a minute. We've been holding it against ourselves. It's really nice to get this back up to the upside and a very, very good breakout candidate. Breaking out as we speak. I mean, candidates right here. I like Alibaba to go. I just wish I felt a little bit stronger about the direction of the market, and I think I would just smack this 78 long. But that could be something. If you think the market's going to go great, I'm expecting a dip. So I'm right now waiting for Alibaba down at 77.25 right here, which isn't that far, man. That is 30 cents away. That could come in, and then let's not jump at it, but something down low in the 76, 76.50 area, that's a really please happen so we can get some shares. So that's a level that we like down there, 76.50. But more importantly, 77. I'm a little nervous about the open. I haven't even looked at the imbalances yet.
The only ones, I got them up, them. I have it up. The imbalance is on NEO right now. It's 1 million shares to the buy side. Palantir has a 300,000 buy, XPeng 300,000. Fastly only because it's down a million %, 30 something. 150,000 to sell on Fastly. Alibaba's a small buy at 130,000. So there's a few names worth watching in there. Obviously NIO. Respectively, it's a $5 stock, so a million imbalance is not gigantic in notional terms, but it's only done 3 million shares in the pre-market, so we'll see. I was looking for a potential dip buy in that 40, and I'm with you on Baba. I'm sitting at, creatively enough, I like the number 42, but that previous high, it's similar to NEO. I want to be buying into the previous high in a dip, and I want to be breaking out at 78. Dip buys I like better in this market environment, so I'd probably be willing to take more swings at it. And certainly look for that bottom on Alibaba today. I like what that chart is doing, at least for now.
I have to find out why my wife is sending me, besides being a Buffalo Bills player, Keon Coleman, hearts. Heart
He's
emojis.
no, okay, so if you see his press conference,
Okay, that's why. Okay.
basically his press conference was amazing. The guy was very genuine, to be sure.
Did you hit the?
I did hit it. Adara is on the run in 1 second. Ring it.
There we go. Okay. Good.
That's all heart right there.
All right, here we go. Here we go. All right, so the market is starting to pop up just a little bit. We do have our targets, and we have some ideas that we're looking for right now. With Alibaba not open yet, let's go over and have a quick look at Tesla. What's happening with Tesla right now? 182, so a little bit of a dip coming in, but not much as the market trying to figure itself out. Look at that wick top down already 20 handles from that top. There is the market. So yeah, let's go. We are
Peloton's
now open. Oh, Peloton. Do I have
We
to pay
didn't
for
mention
shorts?
Peloton. You know what? I don't know. I'm going to double check. Do I have to pay for shorts on Peloton? No, we have free locates on Peloton.
there you go.
Peloton headed into the upside. See the cost cutting a bunch of their workforce, and the CEO stepping down is the story there, up 13%. Carvana, oddly enough, is not doing anything. So, you know, you wait for this stock to maybe open up. I don't really see an opening print yet. It's a New York stock, so I guess it's waiting around for this to open. I don't want to make any early moves on Carvana. You know, you let it open up and let it decide what it wants to do. I think a lot of people have eyeballs there. Tesla, a bit of a dollar range, not moving. Baba hasn't broken out. NIO had that buy imbalance. It's starting to pull back in there. So it actually dipped to 45 on the open there.
I'm trying Apple.
Yeah, maybe we'll get something in front of that. It looks like it already dipped down there, and I wasn't sitting on the bid, but it wasn't open yet. It's a New York stock.
Okay, I'm trying Apple here. I don't know. Whoa, okay. All right. Well, we'll get some. Oh, we just went in low there. We put a bid in the 30s there, but we didn't. I didn't even see where it went. It just dipped in there. Saw the P&L jump a bit. We were shorting Apple yesterday at 172. That's the level that we liked yesterday. This market is starting to go to the downside. The problem with Apple, again, I don't like trading names on earnings. We should have, darn it, looked at something else because we thought that this market could have a little dip opportunity, but we're trying to be as patient as we can. And hey, let's just ring the register early, at least anyways, on something. We'll just go bang for a little bit of a trade in Apple. We just took off 5%, hoping for a little bit of a move down. We don't want to be too stuck here on our sort of bias. Let's, as Neil just said there about Carvana, let's let the market just sort of settle down a little bit here. We had a huge move into the close yesterday. Let's see which way the market wants to figure this out. I'm out if we take like this 173 area, or maybe even earlier than that, like 172.50, honestly. So here we go. This is just an early shot on Apple with the market sort of trying to settle down. We're waiting for Microsoft as well to get into that level.
Yeah, and Baba's starting to go here. So it's getting really close to that 78, but yeah, I don't think this is open yet either.
Baba?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to cancel my.
Well, it was
breakout.
77.60.
No, I don't see that. Okay, there it is. Now it looks like it's opened up. The only reason I'm canceling my order is I don't want to get into a breakout trade before it's actually open on the primary market.
Right.
Like it's a New York stock. If you get into a breakout, then all of a sudden there's like a sell order that comes in really late and tanks it down. The stock hasn't even opened. You can get yourself into some trouble there. So it's open now. NIO's probably open. Carvana is doing absolutely nothing. I don't know what to tell you. That's a little bit surprising to me. I'm on an offer for AMD, but that's all the way up at 149. So there goes Alibaba. I want to give it to the previous breakout high. To me, we had this conversation with a trader, or at least some of the traders were talking about this. If it doesn't go right away, then you don't like breakouts. It should go right away. I'm going to give it a relatively tight stop because I do like dip buys better on this stock. I'm into a dip buy on NIO as well, so we'll get to that in a quick second. And as I mentioned, AMD is far away from my offer, but I am there in front of 149.
Yeah, so right now, again, without putting our patient hat on, it's already 9:33, and we're in this short here on Apple that we didn't even have on our sticky note. All right, but it's right at that level again from yesterday. We're short at 171.90. What's up at Arab?
Li Auto, one of the many Chinese ADRs, really strong here off the open LI. We heard mentioned as well of NIO and Alibaba. Context for this is extreme strength in inflows from foreign investors into the Chinese market. So Hang Seng Index officially entering bull territory at a technical level after yesterday's trading session. Strength across the board for Chinese ADRs, guys.
Li Auto to the upside.
Yeah, Apple just got us out. Li Auto? Well, you were talking about NIO. We are long Alibaba, though, finally.
Like, really?
Just stick with sticky notes.
Okay, so NIO's like down at 42 when Li Auto's up 10%. yeah, we could be in the wrong one right now because NIO just
no,
popped
Apple.
back in to the downside. We bought it in front of that 40 level, as we mentioned. There it is. If it cannot hold on to like the evens, I'll probably just jump out of it. The fact that Li Auto's going, no, I don't like it because then you probably have some eyeballs and some longs going over to this name. So we're going to have a relatively tight stop, unfortunately. Microsoft's heading to the downside, so I'm going to cancel my breakout order. It's way too far away. We're just in 2 names, and Carvana, which I was completely convinced was going to be the wild thing at the open that I should be paying attention to. Yeah, you can think that something is going to happen, and then sometimes nothing does. Carvana is still inside range. I don't think that will stay for very long, so going to keep a level 2 dedicated to it anyways.
Yeah, so just a shout out to Apple that I just made the high of the day on, so what's up, Apple? But we got a little bit back into that name right now, but we just made the high of the day right there, and it just fell right back into our price, so that sucks. All right, we did get 77.92 on a pullback here for Alibaba, and then we got some out at 70. What is that price here? I can just check my order log, my trade list. Well, I just took a bunch of trades on Apple. 78.06, but now we're starting to fall back in, even on Alibaba. So, yeah, we got to be careful here as some of the names are falling in. We talked about the market giving it up, and I don't want to be too stubborn about all of this. So we'll wait. Coming back in a little bit, waiting for that 77.25. Let's try to be patient with this. Here comes Apple, finally starting to fall back in again. We're short at 172.07, but we did get stopped out of our bigger position right there. So we're red on Apple no matter really what happens now. We'll try to get more shares. I mean, this is very, very early. I still like this trade. We were dead on about that short at 172.50, but literally that's where my stop was, which was kind of stupid, but it still did go to 172.66. Oh, I cannot believe we got stopped out $1 ago on a bigger position. That is a loss of money right there. But we're making it back as it comes back down. Just that was a way bigger hit there to the upside for Apple. Just again, I even said it right. It was like 933, and I was like, what am I doing? But still, hit is a hit. So we'll watch out for that as here comes Alibaba back down to a decent level.
Yeah, Alibaba is out the breakout for me. Now I'm looking for the dip buy. So it took out the 78. It could not hold on to the breakout price. So separate trade, dip buying from breaking out. I think you've got room. That's a pretty big gap fill. I don't want to be guessing at it. 76.5 is in play, 76 is in play. But right now, DoorDash is down at 111. So remember, this is short sell restricted because it's now down 10%. The 110 level is where I was looking for that first little wick bottom, and then that whipsaw back into VWAP. So that would be at 110. Want to see it travel down there, hold a bid, put in a higher low, and then I look for the long trade. Carvana is still, you know what, I think it's going to make a big move. So it's gearing up to break that low of the day. I'm not saying it's going to halt, but if it does pressure down into the 110 and resist a halt, that could be a nice little bounce spot. If it takes a halt to the downside, it'll give us plenty of time to formulate a plan. Long NEO at 46 and it's at 44. But clearly, this is a Li Auto moment, and I'm here in NEO, and the adjustment might need to get made here. This thing is up 10%, and sometimes you've got to adjust on the fly because this stock is absolutely flying. Microsoft is getting close to support, by the way.
Yeah, I'm still watching out for this Microsoft trade as well. You know, we're in here at 70s now on Alibaba, so. You know, again, I'm expecting it to go back into somewhere near those highs again. So let's just see if that can happen. Apple not doing anything until we get back up to that high. We just got out of 40% down here as well. So if the market cranks, we're fine on that one. Here comes Alibaba trying to get back again, back up to the upside. So here we go. Nice little move here. Let's take something out just because it's a move up. I'll try to take out 5% up there into the mid 70s. What's up, Adara?
Another earnings name to watch out for here to the downside, Penn Entertainment, PENN, down 13% after missing earnings estimates across the board. Worth noting as well, if you are involved in this, it has a short float of about 19.2%. Pretty high short float here for PENN, guys.
I did not know the short float was that big on Penn.
Yeah, they have DraftKings tonight.
Yeah, that's sort of the thing.
Well,
I know which one of those
now.
two I trade, and it's not Penn. It's going to be DraftKings almost 10 times out of 10. So I think DoorDash is making that move. Here is the higher low.
Here comes the market. Oh,
the market's coming to the
Apple,
downside,
honestly.
but this is a setup that I'm generally going to take. Give me 112 where the players dwell, if we can even get it. I don't want to chase. Don't chase, because I want it here to the local high. Oh my goodness, here comes Microsoft.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Softies down at 95. Obviously, you have some of those big levels from the afternoon. This actually closed down at 95, pretty much exactly. 394.94 So it does have that in play. There's DoorDash. We finally got that fill. Did not want to be chasing it. So we've got this to the local bottom here, which is essentially 111. It's a couple of pennies underneath the 111 level. I'm long at 112, so we got the fill. Sometimes you have to chase it, sometimes you don't. We didn't chase here, and I should be scalping the first dollar out on that. So sometimes the SSR plays work.
Yeah.
You know, but remember yesterday, okay, we had 2 days ago, we had 2 of them were 2 for 2, and then yesterday I had it set up and it didn't work on SMCI, but SMCI sometimes is a different beast because really it did go to VWAP from there, just not the setup that I wanted. So maybe SMCI, I shouldn't trade on that strategy.
So we're taking some Apple out down here in the 50s if we can get it. We bounced off there a couple times. I did put a bid at 53. It's a low bid for sure. Alibaba's been bouncing here. It doesn't look great, honestly. I mean, it keeps on rejecting those highs. I just put an offer right there. I told you we were getting at that 50 period, but we put an offer at VWAP, which was 77 at the time. Now it's down into 70.
Again?
So yeah, not looking super strong, but we're still okay. All right, Apple's trying to come in as well. Let's go back over to some other names that we looked at. We wanted to see about Tesla dropping in it. And that's exactly what it did. But it's, okay, we were looking at 178 or so. That's where my bid is. I feel that we've already sort of dip bought and sort of, you know, done that already here on Alibaba. So I'm going to wait for that. And then that Microsoft level of 94 that I liked is trying to bounce off 95.50. That's pretty close to 94 right now. It's just, again, we were a little bearish to start. Remember, I was like, we like some of these longs, but we prefer dip buys. I just don't know where that dip buy is going to be yet. I'm not convinced with only 10 minutes into the market that this 17.5 down here, which 17.5 has been a level, so it's fine. But, you know, yesterday, before Fed, I guess, the 17.4 was the level. So I don't think Powell said much other than he didn't use the word, he used the word hike once. So I think that's off the table, which rallied the market.
Well, that's what everybody liked.
Yeah, so that's, so, you know, so again, I feel that was there really ever a chance for a hike? I mean, there was just, people just talk like that.
That's what my whole thing was. I actually didn't think there was that high probability of a hike, but it doesn't matter what anybody thinks. The market seemed to like when he said it. So Alibaba, it's done this wick bottom here. So I was in the dip buy, it wicked the pre-market lows and then put in another higher low. So I'm back in on the wick out. Remember, the breakout trade is separate from the dip buy. If it can hold this higher low, it's now just underneath the 40s. DoorDash is starting to pull back in, but the way I look at these sort of SSR bounce plays is it's not for reloading. You know, like it's made a bit of a bottom. It just carried to VWAP, so I took profit out, and then I moved my stop. I'll zoom in so you can see better. You have that big gap. Now I'll move my stop from the low back into just underneath my entry price in that local bottom. It's supposed to work right away. That's the entire idea. And CVNA, I don't know what to tell you. It's starting to head down. No halts. Nothing too crazy. I know $6 is a big move, but nothing too crazy on Carvana just yet. It is falling down in. But if it starts to catch a bid, this could go real fast to the upside. So as far as I'm concerned, this is still one of the ones I want to be in if it does catch that bid. If it can regain the pre-market lows and start breaking out tops, that's an entry that I'm going to want. So DoorDash, it'll be a positive trade, but we didn't get the big smash that we're looking for. It's essentially just 112 to 113.
Smashing.
That one's on the NASDAQ, and then we just get out at break even when it can't hold that bid. So it does work, but not as big as I would have expected there.
CGC here, Canopy growth back on watch today. Fell pretty intensely yesterday, but now picking up with really strong volume, up over 11%. Not seeing any news other than the overarching excitement this week over the potential rescheduling of marijuana or plans to reschedule marijuana. It is worth noting as well, though, that CGC having lots of attention on social media right now. So CGC on watch here, guys.
Yeah, oh yeah, always on watch.
That's a day two SSR play as well.
Yeah. I like that play. I mean, we talked about it. It's dangerous name to trade sometimes. Like yesterday, I lost on it. It's only dangerous because it moves so much. I mean, it's only a $12 name. It's just, for me, wow. I mean, look how fast it's going. Again, I feel like this is a better name that if you're going to trade it, it's not something that I would look at, because I feel like you need to read the tape, and shout out to my guy Obi back there, because I feel like you want to be able to sit here and find buyers and sellers and figure it out by watching rather than just looking at the chart, because again, sure, it's bounced off the 200 period moving average, but you can sometimes, when you're looking at it, when it looks like this, you see a bunch of like single digits. All of a sudden, you'll see a big buyer come in, and the next thing you know, it's ramped up 30 or 40 pennies. Well, the advantage of one of the advantages we have here is be able to see depth of book and all that kind of stuff. So you could definitely see exhaustion points and things like that when you're watching the tape. So I think that CGC is a perfect example for that. So if you are, looking to try to read tape or have a good idea on potentially how stocks will move, I think you're going to get a better idea from a CGC than an Apple or something like that, where there's so many hidden shares and all that kind of stuff. I'm just hearing that Peloton's pulling back. I mean, I sat here and wrote down on the sticky note that anywhere near $4 was good, but not 375. I was at 385. Let me just make sure. I'm gonna double check where I'm at.
Oh, mine was.
No, I was at 389. So I was still up. I was looking to break that on the short float for Peloton on a cutting of workforce. We knew that this. I mean, this is like, look, this $4 level. I mean, we love that level. That's the 50-period moving average. There's a lot of love there for $4 short, but unfortunately, too much of it, and it just turned around. I'm
New
still
position
just in
for
Alibaba.
me.
Yeah, go. Yeah,
It's going to be Fastly.
should have bought.
Obviously, if you're
Microsoft.
down 38%, you're going to be short sell restricted. It just did this wick bottom. I think this is going to be worth a couple of shots.
did
'Cause
we
I have
not
my stop
buy
here at $8. I just got in on this consolidation. That wick bottom on a stock down this far, that's SSR. If it can hold 8, but I should see it bounce off 8 first, I'm realizing. I'm long at 9s. If it breaks 8, I'm out. If it holds 8, I'm going to add back through VWAP. So I'm not putting anything. I'm going to add to it if it gets through VWAP, which is about 11s and 12s. So if I can see that happen, I'll leave the stop at 8. If it breaks 8, we'll look for another level. BABA's still holding 77.50. Carvana's starting to bounce. So I thought this would be halt down before anything like this happened, but it's starting to get a little bit of a bounce and some pep in its step in Carvana. If this can take out the top, it's going to be crowded, but if it doesn't break the low, there's only one place to go.
Yeah.
I haven't said that in a very long time. I used to love that line.
I still can't believe. I mean, I can believe everything because this is the market, but we were just talking about Microsoft down there, and it got close, man. It got close to that 394. I'm at 394.25. I mean, it didn't get there. It got to 395.50, but that was pretty close. So next time, if we see some ideas that we really like that are starting to base out, even if it's not at our price, that could be something to look at. Tesla seems a little bit more dangerous to me because it's not really recovering at all. It did wick down to 180. That's beautiful. Not super. We're hearing that AMD is starting to head southbound here potentially.
Yeah,
or is it? No,
Oh, my
is it?
goodness.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
new
yeah,
lows.
it is.
Yeah. Wow, okay. So chip names,
Sitting
this is where the
$5
weakness
higher?
is, man.
You gotta be kidding me.
Wow, what the hell's going on? What the, is going on with AMD?
The chips are flushing. I'm canceling my AMD offer. I was sitting up here in front of those highs, but we're not going to get the Powell highs. Maybe, and you know exactly where I'm going to go next. If I see them flushing, and obviously Intel 31's not a thing. That was yesterday's trade. Today's trade could be VWAP. It's not nearly as weak. I'm just scanning through every single one where I might express a trade with chips falling. Rejection of 100 on ARM, so that would put a short back into 100 into play here, and it hasn't gone yet. So again, just looking for something where I know I would want to express a trade and finding a level that makes some sense. So if I'm going to short to 100, I need this to probably get at least a VWAP on ARM. I thought we were shorting pops on weak stocks that we liked, but it might not be the case at all. Let's go to Adair.
Not seeing anything new here in advanced micro devices. Looks like all of these major indices taking a little bit of a nosedive here, but it is worth noting as well, AMD did get a price target decrease from benchmark this morning from 245 to 200. So price target decrease to keep in mind for AMD. Not seeing anything new though, guys.
So we actually have to pay for locates on ARM. I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. It'll be nothing. But you ought to make sure you have them. And if it pops up, I want to be sure that I have the ability to grab them. We'll look at SMCI in a second. I see some people there. 1/8 of 1 cent is the cost to borrow for us at Real Trading on ARM. Understand that your broker might be different because you might hold overnight. For us, it's basically free. I mean, 1/8 of 1 cent on a $100 stock is essentially free. So once I process that, fine. I'm assuming SMCI is probably getting destroyed. I do want short, but I have to have a short that sets up. SMCI, okay, I mean, destroyed is all figurative. It's not as bad as yesterday, down at 730. ARM still in the pocket, and that We'll have to wait for it. Fastly, it's getting pretty close to where I want to add to this, like I was saying, getting through VWAP in here. I'm still going to have an 8 stop, but I wanted to be sure that it was coming on the way back up. Did I get it? Yeah, I just got some shares there. So this is better. Like the way you should be taking this is not on the way down there. It's bouncing off 8 and then get that long. But it's still an SSR bounce play. If it gets to the high, that's 25. I'm holding the bulk of it past that into the pre-market top, which is like 860.
Okay, yeah, I mean, some levels are coming in here. So I just put an offer to get out of half if Alibaba breaks this low. We were able to get VWAP up there. So when it came back up, we were able to get a bit of shares there. This is when AMD was starting to tank, and we were just like, I was like, what is going on? So we got filled up there, then this turned around, but we only got filled on 10% of our position, a little 15% or so of our position. We got the full fill, but we're waiting for higher. So I talked about that. So if we can break that bottom, then like it sucks that like we're out of that Apple trade. But again, it's better to be wrong and then take the hit. Like I'm seeing my net is still fine. It's not fine. I mean, we have Apple and Alibaba. They're both losing, but you know, we didn't have to suffer through this ripping to the upside. Sure, it came back and we were able to short it and make a little bit, but the idea here is that if Alibaba goes down, and I know I wrote down $77 here for the long, so I don't need to be holding 77.70, you know, so we'll take it. We have to be buying dips at some point because it's not always going to come into your price. But if we do take 30 or so there, we're going to get out. Like Microsoft's been the one that's really holding right now. And then Tesla, we just got noted that it was down to 180 again on that wick bottom. But this name, looks to be like catching.
This is a weird morning, man.
So it is weird.
Because I liked dip buys on Baba, that's lost. I like dip buy on NEO, that lost. Although NEO was pretty small because I mean, it only went like 5 cents against me or something like that, but it is what it is. And then the only 2 trades that have worked are like the gimmick.
Gotta go short.
Like the SSR bounce play higher low on Fastly is now starting to go. I've taken some out there 25 and then got some at 30. My next offer is out in front of 50. And then it was DoorDash as well. Like the bad stocks. And even then, like DoorDash, we took it to VWAP, we moved our stop. That's the plan of action. I'm never gonna, remember, it's down 10% because of something bad. So when you get the setup, you want to make sure you profit from it and then don't turn it into a losing trade. Now, Fastly is obviously down more, so I think it has a little bit better of a relief rally opportunity. But just like DoorDash, I do not want this getting back underneath VWAP. I have an 8 stop on it, but I added to it and I'm now long 813. The original long was at 809. If this can't hold on to VWAP, then I just get out of it. Do not want to turn this into a losing trade. The market is absolutely running to this downside. I did get the locates on ARM, but that's only the first half. You know, the second half of the story is getting an entry that actually makes sense, because if I can't get 99s into 100, there's got to be something else.
Yeah, here comes Apple. We're still bidding 73s. We missed it last time it was down here, so I put a bid now as, yeah, the market is heading southbound big time. There it is, okay, so we'll take it, we'll go bang on that one. On just the hold for it. There goes Alibaba, so we did get out of that half spot there that we talked about. As there we go, we're dripping down lower now. So yeah, not good, man, not good. I mean, good. We talked about these levels and we talked about being bearish. The only problem is we had gotten out of our Apple literally $1 ago, which has hurt us. The Baba trade was wrong. We had a couple outs. We're still holding a little bit. I still feel pretty comfortable trying that 77 because right now I don't feel like we're too offside yet in the market, because we talked about that bottom yesterday of 17.4. So I kind of now feel that pretty comfortable with what we have. We have the Apple short. We have a half position in Alibaba, which makes me feel better, but still not winning. 17.4, you know, that's going to be the level coming through right now.
Amazon's holding.
Amazon's holding, yeah. Oh, and then we had a look at Google. Microsoft, I mean, the trade idea number 1, honestly, I didn't number them, but the one that we'd written down, number 1 here, was the Microsoft long, and we wrote down 394. It got to 395.50, now up $3-4 from there. So yeah, nice move upside for Microsoft, not happening for us for Alibaba, but we're still in a little bit of this. Maybe this can get back up and we'll be able to put a W on the board here for Alibaba, bouncing off 77.25 down there.
So you know what, if I'm sitting there and it's like most of the ideas either didn't come to price levels that I wanted, or they've already gone in and out of Alibaba, gone in and out of NEO. I'm still in Fastly, which is holding out okay, but I want to see relative strength, relative weakness. We know about the chips. If we can get something in a reasonable entry, I like ARM, Intel, probably not going to get. Amazon holding a higher low and VWAP in here as the market's obviously a little bit strong, or weak, I should say. So I do like this one if we can barcode a little bit off of VWAP. Just want to make sure we're not heading another leg down. We showed Alibaba, but not NIO. So NIO, I was basically in right here at 45, and I gave it to just under 40. But now you're looking at a little bit more strength. So it held green, that's 527, and it bounced off 530. So that would be the next logical level. But if you're catching it on the way up, which is generally the better way to do it, you probably have missed that. So I need it back underneath 540 into the 30s to get a reasonable risk to reward. Still like Microsoft. If it can, I mean, if the market reverses, that breakout of the top still valid. It's just not close enough yet. But I'm not chasing, like I liked AMD short here off of the afternoon highs. And I would have taken Intel off the afternoon highs like yesterday. But I'm not shorting this thing at the bottom. If I like the short on the stock, it's got to be maybe a bounce off VWAP. It would be back to green if it got above 144 and a quarter. So that is another level worth playing. So 144 would be the first try, 144 quarter area on AMD. And other than that, I'm not chasing these lows. It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't make sense. Intel's not really moving enough. I'll let it make its next move, and then we'll decide. And the other name that we have not gotten to is Peloton.
Yes.
Oh, goodness. There's like Peloton.
Oh, yeah, Peloton. Huh.
Oh, shoot. I didn't pay for locates on that either.
You don't have to, you said.
Oh, you're right.
I put it.
No, we
I
don't
put an
have to.
offer out.
You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah, you do not have to.
Usually we have to pay for locates here. You actually don't. But this is a trap the long moment. And much like AMD, I'm not going to smash the bottom. But if this gets right back in to this yesterday's high, the 330 area, I think you short the pops on Peloton. Because what I see is squeeze, trap, and back lower. I think that can be a short for the entire day. I just want it back into 330. So we're looking to get shorts, but we're going to be patient about shorting pops here and not trying to short bottoms.
Yeah, so I have a starter position in SMH right now. I mean, it's, the market's turning around to go long, which is fine. We still have a little bit piece of that Alibaba, and we got that out on Apple. So right now we only have 40% left on Apple. But we talked about the AMD move to the downside, and it's just what's been leading this market down has been the chips. So if the market's going to continue to go, although the market's starting to head up, AMD's still looking lower there, and I know we just had AMD earnings, so that's why we have to be careful, not just to short the SMH just because of one name, but we're under VWAP here for NVDA. You can look at a name like a Micron. I actually haven't looked at Intel. I haven't even heard you talk about that either, so I don't know if there's anything going on.
Not at 31.
So exactly. So not much happening there. Micron looks low here. Look at the difference when there's no catalysts. Like the volume in this chart looks like this. So we're just going to look at SMH now. So you can look, I heard Adara the other day talking about SOXL and different things like that that you might want to look at to trade. So that's available too if you're looking for a lesser price. This is 3 times, but for me it doesn't matter. When I'm trading a $210 name, like I don't need the leverage, so we'll wait for it. But this is another name here that you could also look at to get 3x the move. This might actually be more exciting for me, to be honest with you, because I like pushing maybe a little bit more shares, while this is a little harder sometimes to gauge the SMH. But again, the chart's gonna look exactly the same. I actually thought I added SOXL to my scanner here yesterday.
Carvana could break.
Carvana could break. Okay, so just quickly, we'll go to Carvana in a minute, but I'm bidding 209.70 for a spot out on SMH, so let's go over to Carvana.
Every single time we're like, okay, it's about to break the top, and we're live, what ends up happening is it doesn't break the high, and we sit there staring at the level 2. But look, 122 is the pre-market high. It did the dip. There was no halt down, which I kind of felt if it broke the pre-market low, you could halt down. So I wasn't looking to be on the bid dip buying the stock. But if it takes out the 122, I'll take a shot. I think for me, it'll be like an immediate scalp to 125 because that's a big round number. And then after that, we'll sort of play it by ear. Okay, now of course it's not going. That's what happens. Like you look left, it goes right. Back on the bid of NIO because it put in a higher low off previous close. So that's in front of 530. And then the only thing that I'm in right now is that Fastly SSR bounce play, which I'm gonna keep zooming in and out. It's putting in a higher low, so that's a good sign. I'm not at the point that I would trail this underneath 820. I think it would need to bust this next high at 840, and then I would trail back underneath the 820. So Fastly's working, down 36%. It's a weird morning because after everything, the strongest stocks that are going up are the weirdest ones to be going up.
Yeah, let's go right now. We just put on a, that's why I switched it. I mean, guys, I've tried to adapt here just like we all are. Like, when I noticed, for me anyways, that these tech names, the SMH, AMD, we just went over to SMH. SMH now almost $1 in the money. We are now long Tesla off of our 178, but here we go. It's going to the downside. Numbers with Adara.
Factory orders month over month just coming in here for March, 1.6%, in line with consensus, 1.6%, slightly below the forecast of 1.8%. Factory orders ex transportation exactly in line with the forecast, 0.5% there for the month of March. So those are the numbers we got in here at 10 a.m. Market continuing a little bit to the downside, both the NASDAQ and S&P 500 showing some early strength off of some strong earnings for names like Qualcomm, but a little bit weaker here. Still positive on the day, though, for both. Let's take a look at some of these other names to watch today. Etsy, ETSY, one of the many earnings names here. This one down over 16% after missing sales and GAAP EPS across the board here. So ETSY to the downside. Also Qualcomm here, very strong at 1 point up over 10%, beating earnings across the board and raising its revenue and EPS guidance above expectations. So QCOM on watch here as well. So many earnings to look at as this market continues to go to the downside, guys.
Bye-bye.
Let's just honestly, let's throw up the idea generator. I mean, we just put on SMH. It's $1.40 now in the money. We talked about why we like that name, and there it goes, man. It is SMH, and it is raining down right now. And we had just put that on. So I feel really confident, and sometimes with some of those kind of plays, we were waiting for a little bit more upside, but I like switching over into the ETFs. The one name that's not working, and it's dropping pretty fast right now, is Tesla. We're out at 177.50, man. This is an exact 50-cent hit. So we're fine. I mean, again, 50 cent on Tesla. We're going to do that, but there it goes. We're not going to be that trader that just sits there and takes it against us again and again and again. So there goes Tesla. It just broke, and then it comes right back. We were just long at 178. All right, I just said we're not going to be that trader. Let's be that trader and just try it one more time there. But again, half a position just to see if it goes back up. This one will have to make $1 on to make it back. But now, okay, here it goes. Watch out for that 177 on a temporary flush. The market is bouncing off some of those areas from yesterday, so we're going to watch out for that. We made the money on SMH, but just gave some back there on Tesla, so that's not nice. But there it is right here, Tesla, 177.50. Trying to be patient with our levels, taking a couple shots here at it, but, shots eventually go straight to the head, and at some point, that's what may happen with my position here, getting a little drunk on some Tesla shares.
Yeah, it's one of these days, man. Like, I don't have a single short, and it's frustrating. I'm trying to avoid the longs that weren't in the plan at this point. But like Intel, I didn't take the VWAP short, and it absolutely fell apart. ARM, I just didn't have a setup. Let me just cancel that. ARM broke down, it's falling. So we didn't get either one of those two. Peloton, no pop at all. It just dropped right into the $3. I think this still could go. The only change I've made here is I took some more out of Fastly, so I have only half the position now. When it broke that consolidation, I said I wouldn't move my trail there unless it broke the high. So instead of moving the trail, I just took a little bit out. So I'm still holding half of it, but I felt like it was prudent to get something out of that. Long Neil's still holding on to the bottom, at least temporarily. Amazon's showing some signs of strength, still holding that VWAP, so I think that could come into play, but I wanted that down move to be resisted at least a little bit. And there was a question, someone asking me, am I going to go long SMCI at 700?
Oh, go.
No, you know what? I'm going to stick to other names for SSR plays, not SMCI. I've traded that stock 4 times ever, and that was the first time I tried an SSR bounce yesterday, and it didn't work out for me. So that setup, I'm going to stay away from an SMCI. Good luck to anybody. Down 3%, like all the other chip names.
We're up on Tesla. Honestly, wow, so stupid. All right, well, Heart Attack Nation represent. I mean, Apple right here is now $1 in the money on Apple. Like, give that up. Like, that was Oh, that like making the high wick there on serious shares really sucks as we continue to battle back all freaking day. But there it is right now. It's a dollar club finally for Tesla. But let's just wait to see if we can get a little bit higher. We still have half of our position from the bottom there. So again, we did punch out. We got stopped out. I really like this new form of trading. Like get out when it's not there and then still stay with it, see if you like it. You could get absolutely run over. We have not done that yet, but there it goes, nice move. And then we'll make the solid plays, about as solid as it can get for me. SMH, downside push right there. Good out, we still have a third left of this name. As I had to take that when that went into the money like that, there's nothing I can do. Apple's been, again, a great trade, but I have literally the worst out. You're probably going to, if you have a worse out, man, please message me at TraderTV I'd like to lament with you on that one. But then Alibaba, we did hold a little bit. We just got a decent pop back up there. We will be red on this unless this can really get going, which would be fine by me because right now we've got the Tesla long down here at 177.28. But again, just back to green on Tesla. Just back to green because we had take that hit when it breaks 178. So our style of trade, as we say this all the time, is going to be a little different in time frames than yours, most likely. Like, if Tesla goes down 50 cents, you probably might not punch that out, you know, but I'm gonna do that and just like we'll take some profit when it goes 50 cents in the money sometimes. But I think this one has a chance to work, especially if the market bounces off this level. We already looked at a higher level of the market and think that this is a decent bottom right here considering nothing's changed for Powell and we have Apple earnings later on today. So I feel like pretty good about it. We're way higher than we were now. We're way higher now than we were 30 minutes ago when we take that L on Apple. So let's go back upside for Tesla and then we'll really start to scream. But SMH right now is a 1 and a deuces. $2 in the money on SMH as we continue to go down. Man, we flipped the script on that one.
Yeah, the market's absolutely tanking. You got to, I mean, obviously I wanted some shorts, didn't get them. I'm avoiding getting some longs that I might normally have in a situation like this. Like I might already be long Amazon, and I don't think I'm going to do it. First adjustment here, I'm not getting VWAP on Peloton. It's holding the $3 level. I don't want to take a break, so 320 is a consolidation low. I'm going to short back into that. I like the reversal. I want to be in it. We'll go for that level. NIO's holding. I'm long at 36. It's at 34. I don't know what to tell you there. Like it's holding the bottom, which is good. And probably maybe it was a bad decision. Maybe didn't need to get out of Fastly some shares there, but I did as the market was going down. Once it breaks out the top, I'm going to get some out in front of 850. And Carvana, I have now canceled my order again in CVNA because it is pulled back underneath VWAP. So that breakout that I said was about to happen, it just didn't go on Carvana. You're right back into the low. So a little bit of a disappointment. AMD is the 140 level. I mean, it could be a break. I see you in the chat there, chill vibes. AMD down 2%. I think it's a decent possibility. The 141's also in play. I just feel like there's going to be a bounce. The futures are pretty much at where, like, we still haven't gotten to where we closed. And if we get to that price on the NASDAQ, I think you could see a little bit of a bounce. And I don't want to be punching any bottoms there. I'm just looking to short the first available pop. We're not going to get ARM. We might not get that intel, but I want to be patient with it. Thankfully, the SSR plays have worked for me on the bounces because that's where the 2 wins would be for myself. DoorDash, and now Fastly. SMC high. Ooh. Oh, by the way, NVIDIA is not as bad as the other names in the chip space. Just want to throw that one out there. But that's about to change if it breaks 830. If NVIDIA holds 830 and we get a bounce, I would put it in the good column, at least temporarily. Most of the other chip names, I think I will be looking for shorts.
Okay. All right, Alibaba, man, it's starting to go a little bit. I just got to make sure that we have enough offers available here to get out in case we do get upside. I just canceled them all so I can reassess. All right, we are right here now at VWAP, so this is going to be a trade for me. Did we just get that, Phil? No, we did not. We're offering 60s, 61, sorry, right now as we just bounced a little bit off there. Hopefully, not hopefully, but yeah, well, hopefully, I guess. Alibaba will continue to make that high side run right now for us. So let's see if that is a play or not. There goes Tesla. It finally breaks the bottom there, so we stay red on that. We got out on the way up. We reloaded that. It does break 177. 77 bottom side there for Tesla. The net isn't changing dramatically, and part of that is because of what we have on board with everything else, man. I mean, this SMH call is going to be, for me, a savior here. Now $3 in the money on this trade because we lost on Tesla. Like that 178 didn't hold. Let's see if Microsoft is down that. Okay, so here comes Microsoft again as well. All right, well, we broke yesterday's, or right at yesterday's low, I should say, right now in those futures. So, all right, let's try here, I guess, on Softy. We might have just missed that very bottom. Again, we weren't really, okay, we'll buy a little bit here above. I don't know if we like to buy above 395 right now, considering we just got a little bit of a dip in there, but we'll put a bid lower. And we started a position here at 395, understanding that we could have a $2 or $3 winner to the upside, but watching out for that 394, which was more in the pocket for our concern. So, okay, we'll wait for that one. Other than that, man, did we get our Alibaba up there? Yes, we did. So there it is. So we do get that 61 up there. So that was pretty good. I feel like we might have got that when we put it out there and it just didn't adjust. But it's right there right now. SMH still moving downside, and we'll try this Softy bottom.
So speaking of things that are at the Softy bottoms.
Hello.
Soggy bottom.
Hello.
That's from Paw Patrol. I knew it.
Paw Patrol. Yeah, Paw Patrol. I love Paw Patrol.
Soggy. Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm sure about that. I haven't watched in a while. My daughter's thankfully moving past that a little bit. Starbucks, if the SSR bounce plays are working, then a day 2 play is what I'm going to go to next. I'm going to short pops, but I got to wait for them to happen. So Starbucks has made a wick bottom. There's a consolidation at 770. So clearly a buyer there. A couple of wicks underneath that have held 73.60, which is what price, you ask? That last dip into the close. Same support level on Starbucks. Once it gets above 75, I'm going long. And then we're going to look for that VWAP move. I think this can be one that can even break VWAP, but we'll see. If it can break this little consolidation here, I'm going long into that low. But it has to show me the upside move first. NEO does not hold on. So again, try to be patient. Look for another dip buy off of that low. It does not hold on to the bottom. We'll get out and look for another place to get back into the trade. You're seeing it stair step down, so you don't want to be giving it up, right? Like I don't want to sit here and turn around and have like 8 shots at NEO when really it's not going. So the SSR play, I just got into Starbucks. Fastly's working. So this will be one of those types of days where a very specific setup is the only thing that's working for the long side. And it's going to be that SSR bounce. So Fastly's doing it here. It just got to 840. We're long at 13s. We had 9s and we added at 13s. And we're into Starbucks, which is, again, the same type of play. A little bit weaker. This is a day 2 play as well. It has to hold on to 77.60. Well, technically it's 58.
All right. Oh, no. Yeah, that's a nasty chart. Good look on that one, man. I'm glad you've been able to find that one out.
Well, it doesn't.
My coffees are getting. I almost need another. Like I have
the heater on.
3 half coffees.
I am
here.
freezing, dude.
All right. Yeah, my hands. I feel fine. Well, yeah. See, honestly, I think it's the short sleeves.
I even have like goosebumps. It's gonna be 20 degrees out here today, which is like it's room temperature, but it's spring in Canada, so you take what you can get.
Microsoft, yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Canada, the weather is turning the corner for sure. All right, so right now, Microsoft is now 50 cents in the money off that bottom there, but it stopped at 396. I was waiting for higher than that, but now I'm going to be there. We'll see about taking half of it out for $1-ish if we can get that. That should be pretty sweet. Baba's still holding out. SMH, nice battle back for SMH. So let's try to think about not losing on this trade. 209, if we could break more above that, I feel like that should be something that we look at just to get out. I mean, we've been holding that bottom, and if it can come back up to the top, I mean, the top is really up here, 210 again. That would be a pretty sweet reload. Obviously, if that gets going, then Microsoft probably shoots the moon as well. So I feel pretty good if we were able to get this out right around here. We did lose because we should have got out at the bottom, but again, without knowing the bottom wick. Let's just play discipline and get it out here and just call it a day on SMH and then wait for a reload on this name because, hey, I don't mind the bottom. We talked about where that bottom could be, and I got to do a little bit of a better job. Let me just make sure what this is because you know what? This is an ETF, so it's not like it's going to react too specifically to even dollar prices. All right, so what I was going to get at is possibly a better job done on this. We should have flipped over to the TQs. We talked about that was one of our number 1 stock. It was our number 1 stock in, what month is this? In April. and then we nailed it yesterday. But right there, we talked about it coming into the bottom. That was the bottom from yesterday. We just hit it. So that's, if you guys are short, you should probably have covered or looking to cover half or something. And then if you're looking for longs, that was a great long pickup. And that did give us, guys, the dollar winner there on Microsoft. So yeah, so far so good here today. But yeah, the Tesla hit hurt. Didn't hurt, but it hurts that it didn't work. I wish that would have. And then yeah, Microsoft a good bottom take there as well.
I feel like this is
Alibaba. I mean,
this morning's resembling like the afternoon yesterday, where you're just sitting there and you're waiting because I don't want to be short at bottoms. And it was kind of the same thing at that top. It's like if you like the long after that initial move up, like what were you were waiting for something, either a break of the high of the day where you could continue the move, or just in a consolidation and you're short waiting for it to break down. Eventually it broke down, but you had to wait for it for like 30, 40 minutes, and then Powell left the podium. Amazon through VWAP, no longer looking like the strong name that I wanted. NVIDIA kind of on the other churn. As this is now a wick bottom, if this can recover VWAP, I do like that. Manuel, Pfizer, Look, Pfizer is relatively strong in testing highs, and you know what? I don't have any excuse for forgetting about Pfizer because Adara told me all about this one on the aftermarket show, and this was her best stock yesterday, and she had a good long in it. And I came in saying I should look at Pfizer tomorrow because if it starts to trend up, sometimes it's a nice gentle trend when it goes, and you can be in it all day if you find yourself a good spot. It just broke out, first available dip into 72.25. I mean, you pick something up in the 40s. On the daily chart, it literally has anywhere to go to, but 28.25 would be the reasonable level, and it's far away from there. The downward trend might be breaking on Pfizer, although if you've been holding this thing at anything other than like the 26 level, you've been getting destroyed. 26 has been good support.
oh, I was like, are we down? No, I put the wrong. Hold on a second.
Oh, by the way, you know what we forgot about this morning?
Okay, it worked.
We didn't mention anything about Moderna, which is breaking out. So
upside.
Yeah, only because I was just talking about Pfizer. It is worth mentioning. We try to cover everything, but you try to focus on the stocks that you want to trade as a trader. And Moderna is breaking out. Yay, Moderna! This is a shot play in my long term, but it is already busted that 115
thank you so much.
and is absolutely flying to the upside. I do like some dip buys in Pfizer. I think you're more conservative the way that you trade Pfizer than Moderna. But if you're in that break, I think you could see 120 is the next resistance level up. Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, Randy, we got the reload there.
Oh, that was so key because it's
Message
absolutely
to him.
freezing.
Oh, yeah, that feels better for the hands already. Yeah, so I was actually thinking about buying Tesla. So that's where I was stumbling with because I kept on putting out an order, and then it turned out that I had offers higher. And we had talked about that. You can do that, but then it will reschedule it as a short sell. So I just had to cancel that, put this out as a sell. So 77.80, we just got out right there. I'm still in some. It's too bad. Again, this is why I'm happy with the day, but like not, because Alibaba broke there, and sure, it went a little lower, but at the end of the day, we wrote down 77. If we were patient enough, we could have been long here, like 77.20s again. So, it's the same. It's kind of the same story. We weren't very patient yesterday into the Fed when we had those huge plays and made everything back, all the stupidness that we did, shorting all the way up, and then eventually it worked. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, I tweeted it all out. I mean, all my trades are there on Twitter. Go find me at TraderTV Sean. But like yesterday, when the futures did this, and Powell, this is 2 o'clock. This is 2:30, sorry. So 2 o'clock, nothing. I'm saying to myself, I believe this dude's hawkish. I didn't really see anything too dovish. Brendan was here reporting them, all the strike throughs and all the different wording and all that stuff. He wasn't overly anything, and the market just kept on going to the upside. He did not talk about hikes. So once that sort of came through, and then he left the podium, and then this happened. So we were able to pay dirt from here. We lost here, hit it back there. So at the end of the day, it was just like, we wound up fine, but we could have been much better with more patience. And the story is true of Microsoft, honestly, because
No position's a position.
no position's a position. Yeah, but yeah, it's not. It's just shorting where we shouldn't have been shorting. It's not. Just looking back at it, I was fine doing it when I was doing it, but at the same time, patience is a thing.
I finally have a short position, by the way, and,
I was just
and
gonna talk about Tesla, too.
in an absolute surprise to probably everybody, it's going to be an Intel. But it's the first thing that's set up, so it's not going to be VWAP. It showed the bottom in front of 30, technically 19, it looks like, and then it made this top here at 30.35 a couple of times. So there's the first, second time. Once it made this wick, I jumped in. I always feel like I'm getting 32 or 33 as prices lately because every single time I get into a position, I'm like, hey, Larry Bird or Magic Johnson. So if it breaks out from here, it'll be a relatively tight stop and then hunt for VWAP. That's going to be the plan of action. Until I have bids to the low of the day, then I'm going to hold a third of the position through there. Fastly's starting to come back here. Look, I'm on a dip buy VWAP for Pfizer, so if we get that one, fine. But this SSR play is not really something that I'm looking to buy dips on. Generally, the strategy is get in, and if it breaks trend, get out. So I'm still getting out if it breaks underneath VWAP, but it has worked pretty solidly so far. But when a weak market, the stock is down 37%. If it doesn't carry all the way to the pre-market high, then that's just, it isn't meant to be. But at the end of the day, at least this trade, strategy-wise, is working out. But if it can't hold VWAP, I don't want to be in this one too much longer here. And it's already 10:20. So let's get on to Adara. We got to get to the small cap
SMH
recap.
again. Go, Adara.
Sorry about that. IWM finding a little bit of resistance here at that previous support area, but overall still continuing to trend upward a little bit here, much like the NASDAQ and SPY trying to make a little bit of recovery after initially falling earlier in the session. We have a lot of small caps moving today, a lot of earnings names, including Aspen Aerogels, ASPN. This one forecasting higher EPS and revenue than expected, including unexpected profit forecast here, also beating earnings here, so ASPN to the upside. We also have XBP Europe. XBP is the ticker for this one, up almost 70% after getting a $40 million multi-year contract for a transformation project for a passport office. And last but not least, Emergent Biosolutions, EBS. This one has a short float of over 11%. This one also posting an earnings beat here. So EBS up 85%, another earnings winner here, guys.
Absolutely, and thank you very much there, Adara. As always, we're going to focus on the things we're trading on. We love when you guys give us symbols. It's always good to get some stuff that's moving in small cap space, especially when you're looking for opportunities that you might not have had in your original plan. So I did just get some out there halfway to the bottom on Intel. And as I said, I moved my stop on Fastly. But I just want to point something out today. Like when I was on the aftermarket show and Carvana made that move, I was already in my head thinking of things that Carvana could do that I would be trading. And I sat down this morning thinking of, okay, I'm going to get ready, could halt down, look for the halt re-entry plan. All of this stuff was going through. And there hasn't been a trade in Carvana for me today. And maybe there won't be one at the end of the day. That's fine. I came in thinking that was going to be the thing I risked on this morning. And if there's nothing there and there wasn't a smash spot, you don't have to trade it. But I think it's a bit of a disappointment. But I'm at least not in it because I'm very disappointed in that name. And I just feel like something's going to happen, and I want to be ready when it does. We took some profit on Intel, but I said my stop was going to be at the 35. We managed to get profit at that 27 level. And then I look for the VWAP retrace, which is generally the bread and butter of a short in that bottom. It's still underneath the previous close, but I want to give this a chance. If it breaks the VWAP, I like that trade a little bit more. I can always jump back in off the lows if we get a chance. Mikey just says Intel long. Maybe if it goes into a long here, I don't mind getting out, like stopping out for a couple of pennies and then trying to re-enter that trade at a better price. I have absolutely no issues with.
All right, I want to say the same thing about entering and re-entering prices because like we actually got out of SMH when it broke through 209. And I was like, oh man. And then I looked at it and 209 held and we came back in. So I shorted it again just as we went to break. You might have heard me say I've shorted SMH. And then it came back into 208 again. So we actually got 208.20s off this short that we have right now, 208.70. But I still want to play it back to 209.50. So I still want to be on this name. Although the futures are starting to battle back, which is, it's all good, baby. Because look at Microsoft right here, man. This is almost a $2 winner right now, and we'll try to ring the register at some point. But I want to go longer on this, man. I think 398. Let's see if we can really turn this day around and make it something special here at the end of it all. Alibaba, there's 60 cents on Alibaba. We will fire off the hot dog cannon on this one, despite, again, like how everybody trades it is their own thing. But like here, why can't I zoom in more on this? Okay, that did not work at all. Zoom, zoom, zoom. All right. Oh, now it's reacting. Okay, so right there, like we did get out on that 200 period break. Would have loved, I have bids down here at 77, would have loved to grab that. But there goes Alibaba North Side trading on BA. What's up, Adara?
Keep an eye on Carvana right now if you are involved. CEO, Ernest Garcia, currently on CNBC discussing the company's earnings and growth. So just be aware if you are involved in CVNA, CEO on CNBC right now, guys.
Right.
I mean,
alert.
maybe that gives it a break. I don't know. You'd like to see that stock break out of the range, which would be nice. But stocks that are up 35% with 30% short floats don't usually have inside days, and you just have to be patient with it. Obviously, there was no dip to be had just yet on Pfizer, so it broke out the top. I took a little bit in. I'm going to buy back into the higher low, so this is not a VWAP play anymore because the top got taken out on Pfizer. There's still room to go. Pinduo Duo's apparently blasting, which makes some sense. The entire group was up. That was on the watch list for, it wasn't just Baba on the watch list, it was actually the entire group. And PDD up 7% is probably the leader, I'm going to say. I'm just pointing out the daily chart because I have 136 marked off. That was a big support to resistance level on PDD. I'm not in it, but if you are, my 2 cents is 136 is a pretty big level that could head to the downside. Obviously, now that we're headed back to the upside, the one thing that we're in is right back and working. It's the only thing I've been in long the whole way through, and it looks like it's going to be a relatively clean one here on Fastly, which is weird because it's down 35%.
So we just covered Alibaba on an absolute monster move up. Like, again, kind of out of nowhere there. I don't know where that move was. But here it is right here. We have written down, again, like Alibaba, it's too bad. Like, we have it written down 77 long. It's now, that's $1 in the money. We did get pretty low, man. We did get as low as 77.25. All right. SMH, here we go. We're getting close, man. We're short at 209.30 right now on SMH. It's not looking good. We broke through the 50. I mean, again, we're right at the 50-period moving average. I said something that we need to put into our toolbox is those longer plays, like looking out, seeing tops, seeing bottoms, and hitting them aggressively, because now that I'm seeing sort of what you can do, all right, with those plays, we just took some out for flat there, by the way, just coming into 209.40 again for SMH. I have more, oops, that's the wrong bid. All right, so let's get some more bids out now because this is a nice little fall. I do have one at 209.07 as well. I'm gonna put another bid right here. All right, come in, 209.07 now. Okay, man, let's just see. This is not a bad play here, hopefully for us. All right, Microsoft continuing to go. Watch out for VWAP up there at 397. But really not my whole morning, but my current plays are really relying on SMH. I just put it out at 209.75. So if it goes back up there, that's definitely something that we will be in there. I think so, Carlos. I think he got wrecked or is lost on it. When he comes back, we'll find out. He's not here right now on Starbucks for Neil there. All right, so Apple, nice short side play. Come on, SMH. Just one flush here. Like, if we can get a flush, we're bidding 30, by the way, just to get out of, again, another 5%. I want this flush to come in. Like, and I'm bidding down here at 209, right where that gap was right there. If we can get that filled, great. And then let's see the push lower. Let me just check. Just bounced off of us right there. Let me just check out what NVIDIA is doing. All right, so see? So everything's kind of right here. AMD was the one from yesterday. Now, yesterday, I talked about AMD getting to 140 and then possibly buying that up. So that would be a level I feel like for a little, not concerned, but a level that you want to look at there on AMD if it comes in for a longer term play. But SMH I was bidding 30s. It went to 31. But again, let's see if we can get a little lower here on SMH. This is what we're waiting for now. This could change the trajectory of my net, but a lower move, there we go. We get the 30 fill. A lower move down for this is recommended by me.
Yeah, I think you just had a nice little turn right at the 17.5 level on the NASDAQ.
Yeah, hopefully.
But I'm in too long, but Fastly is an SSR play, and Pfizer is a trend up on a pharma name. So I don't think it matters what's happening to the Qs in that particular case. I'm not too worried about it. But this wick high, I looked for a better entry price on Intel. It just didn't get to VWAP. So I'm right back here underneath the 3040. And I cannot believe we forgot, I forgot about Peloton breaking $3. There's no we. It was me that, I'm talking about it. I'm the one that should have been on this stock. It broke $3 even. It is now short sell restricted because it went underneath $2.90. So I'd be very careful with this. It's SSR now down over 10%. There could be a bounce play, but if it fails the $3 level on the way back or VWAP, I would be looking for some shorts in Peloton. So we're just long 2 names at this moment. I still want to be shorting a couple of chip names. We were already in Intel and we're looking for a re-entry under 40s. ARM at VWAP could come into play as well. So ARM, try to be patient here. It's right back at 98. I think we can get to that 98.5 spot and look for a curl on that name. So far, so good for very specific strategies for me, and that's going to be, we'll see about Pfizer, but that's just been the SSR longs. Those have carried it for me, and everything else, there have been smaller hits, but at the end of the day, I didn't pick up any good shorts, which I try to rectify on the way back up here. Adara, what is going on in the world of crypto?
A lot of earnings actually happening in the world of crypto right now. We had MicroStrategies and Riot blockchain earlier this week. Tonight we get Coinbase. This is going to be a huge one to keep an eye on here amidst some strength in Bitcoin. Also a pretty strong earnings report. Last earnings season, they did beat across the board last time, earnings per share and revenue above expectations. They're expected to have about an 11% move. So COIN, one to watch out for, expected to report around 4:15 tonight. So stay tuned for Coinbase. In terms of Bitcoin itself, trying to recover from a pretty steep 2-day sell-off here. Right now, we are up on the day here, even just slightly. Currently up around 58,000. 58.6, so up about 2% right now. Ethereum also trying to climb back towards that 3,000 level here, just about 2,970, so getting very close to that 3,000 level, up almost 3%. And a lot of strength in these other crypto tokens as well, compared to a lot of weakness across the board yesterday. Solana up 11.5%, Ripple up 4.5%, Dogecoin up 6.5%, Cardano up 4%. So keep an eye on all of these crypto names and currencies. Lots of strength coming after yesterday's weakness, guys.
The relief rally's on. Carvana's back above VWAP again, so it's now it's got a double bottom that looks a little bit better. So there's something else other than the breakout play for Carvana, which would be the hold on to VWAP here into the breakout. I just didn't want any part of it until I was convinced that it was holding the lows. And you wicked underneath 115. Come to my chart there. Thanks, Fabian. Wicked underneath 115. This is the hold here, and now you're steady up. So if we do dip back in, I don't mind this hold into VWAP. I'm still going to take a breakout on this stock. I just don't see any way that I'm not in the break. But if I can catch along going into the breakout, I think that's just fine with me on Carvana. I mean, at the end of the day, I knew at some point I was going to take a trade or two in Carvana. I want to give it multiple shots. I don't think it's staying inside of this range for long. But if it does, there's a couple of dollars worth of room. So I'm in here off of VWAP. I'm going to give it into just underneath the 17 level, and then we'll see where we can go. Fastly, we'll get to that when it moves to the next level up. And chips are starting to come back into the upside. I'm not short yet into Intel again, but I am anticipating getting VWAP.
All right, well, I was just doing stupid things. So yeah, I thought I was getting more short of SMH. We got short SMH, it's fine. I thought I was bidding out of it, but instead I was bidding Microsoft. So my price on Microsoft is going to be wrong, but we're going to, not wrong, it's just, it's not that low bid that we had before. And now Microsoft's starting to chew up a little bit more to the upside. I'm going to dump a little bit here because I did not, mean to get these longs. We talk about that. But Alibaba is still mooning. And I have up 4%. Man, this has been another one of those longer term plays that we've had in our portfolio. Buying in at around $71, $72 is our lowest bid. Good trade there for Alibaba. We got out of it thinking, okay, but yeah, no, Alibaba. Here goes Microsoft again. So we didn't mean, like I said, we meant to hold on to there. We bought there, we sold immediately. Now you're starting to go to the high side. Let's take some more out of Microsoft because again, this is not necessarily the amount of shares that we wanted at these levels, but we'll take it out for where it is. So my trade right now, SMH. We're going to be positive today on SMH, on Microsoft, but we're going to be Alibaba. We talked about that. We got out of too many shares at the bottom there. Apple, what should have been an absolute monster, but unfortunately we got out at the top there. And then Tesla, I mean, it's right at 178, the level that we talked about, but it already went down to 176. So that looks like a great bottom. I was actually thinking about shorting here on Tesla at this 178 level. So that could be a trade that I'm excited to do. Apple on the come up, right back to the upside. I still want to short up here if we can get a chance at 172.60. It's only 10:30. Lots of more opportunity in front of us.
We got a lot of day. This is just,
of day,
look,
hopefully.
Look, today is basically, I mean, we're not even close to halfway over, but just like it ain't over for the Leafs, the day isn't over just yet. Every time I see Patty Ice walk by, I'm just constantly reminded that it's like, you know, it's a big day because the Leafs are playing and he's going to be in his full regalia. I hope Matthews plays. I have no idea what's going on with that guy, but it ain't over till it's over. For the first time today, like I said, I'm finally into Carvana, and we always talk about patience being a virtue. If you don't see something you don't like, you don't have to trade it. It gets 10:30. I thought I'd be in this stock at like 9:35. Something would have happened here. And then it gets them out in front of the even dollar 120. And then when it gets to 122, that might be an ad spot. But if it can't hold a view up, I'm underneath the 117 for an out. Pfizer, I know Moderna's going, but you know, Pfizer as well. Nice little consolidation off the breakout. So Pfizer now continuing its move higher. I'm going to check in on Moderna for you guys, but Pfizer's the one that I'm in. I have no offers out in front of 28 even, which I'm going to then throw just now in front of 85 and in front of 28 even. Moderna obviously is going more, you know, mRNA is going to be a little bit more volatile of a name, up 8.5%. I just like the setup in Pfizer a little better than trying to take Moderna off of those highs, that's all.
All right, big time booyah happening right now because, okay, we're out of Microsoft. That's fine. That was a good trade, man. Microsoft's SMH is PL1. So that's what we're booyahing about. SMH, nice move to the downside. Again, trying to be as patient as we can with this name and now holding half. So let's see. I mean, at some point, though, like I talk about this, like when especially when it's been a rough morning. It hasn't been super rough, but you know, there's not like an extended move here that could have really have helped chase sort of the play that we thought to the short side or to the long side. And so finally now we're starting to get this on SMH. So this is going to be a big one. This is a day saver over and over again for me here. SMH today to the short side. So we'll be 50-50, man. We'll go, thank you, BPI. But we'll be red because we have Apple and Alibaba. Those were, not Alibaba, Apple and Tesla that we sort of missed up on. And again, it's funny that we say that and then this was the short at 172.50. The problem is I have this. And this is a fine spot for me to take a little bit of shares. I felt comfortable taking them against that high, but then the market started to go and we got sort of offside there. So Apple, yeah, downside. But we'll see. We're still playing with fire here on SMH. Hopefully that can come back in a little bit. And then Microsoft back down low would be nice. And there goes there goes Tesla. This is the other one here that we just loaded it up. We were fine. We made some money. We were actually green. Then it was this sort of last drop there through 177 that took the hit for us. But here goes Tesla. Maybe we just buy that 178. Not super convinced yet. Don't want to hop into something just because. So we're fine. Good day, but it could always be better. And we'll battle back and we'll make it we'll make it happen. But 209 right now holding on SMH. Let's see if we get lower on that.
I still never got that intel. Unfortunately, it doesn't get into VWAP. Oh, there we go. It's trying to tick up here. Let me just adjust back to 39 there. We're going to get an offer out. Carvana, unfortunately, it doesn't hold on to VWAP. I wanted a long into the high. I'm not holding it back into that bottom. It has to hold a higher low or break out. My whole plan of action on Carvana was not to sit on a bid in front of the low of the day at any point. Because I just feel like if it breaks, like the slippage and the potential halt down, I don't like that. I want to try to buy it on the way back up, and then if it doesn't work, that's fine, because at least I'm trying to buy this thing on strength. That's the only way I'm going to play along. I want to be buying on some kind of a strength on Carvana, and I don't think the day's done with this thing. I think you can move and possibly moon at some point. Just want to see it hold VWAP or break 122. Pfizer, I think, can hunt for that 28 even dollar level. We did ring the register the first time through there. That is the first non-SSR win for me today. That has carried the day for myself. Fastly, it's kind of chilling out, but chilling out's fine. It's at 850. Like if you have this one, I entered it at 9s and then we got 813s and we added. My next offer is if it breaks 850 and then I'm gonna move the trail on this. The pre-market high is out here at 875 and I think that's where we wanna take it to. The Chinese EVs are doing okay. We were in NIO before, but you know what? I'm glad we didn't hold on to this one. Sometimes, I said this in the afternoon yesterday, sometimes the best thing you can do is get out of the way. I like to dip buy off the pre-high. I like to dip buy off of the previous close as well. It then managed to continue to fall and is still trending down. Don't have to keep trying the long. If it's gonna get back above VWAP, sure, I can try to get back into this above VWAP at the prices I liked originally. And that might be 1040, that's 1040 now. It could be at 11 o'clock, it could be at noon, but you've got to be ready for it to show you what you're looking for, which is some actual strength. Get to VWAP, and I don't mind being back into this, but I'm not going to fight this stock, not just because I thought it was a long. Let's get on to Adara and tell me that something is happening in some other names other than Pfizer and Moderna and health, because I would love some strength there to help out with my trade. Let's see Sector Watch.
Fortunately, the health sector actually a little bit weak across the board, despite those earnings outsiders like Moderna on day one earnings play and Pfizer day two earnings. Lilly, AbbVie, all pretty weak here. Finance, pretty mixed across the board, as are consumer services, communications, and utilities. A lot of sectors not doing too much today, but in terms of strength, we do have some sectors to watch out for. Retail trade great across the board, with the exception of CVS getting some downgrades after its earnings earlier this week. Consumer non-durables, a pretty nice look here as well, but watch out for Monster Energy, which reports after close tonight. Producer manufacturing a little bit more mixed, and also, of course, we do have to talk about consumer electronics, this whole electronic sector as well. Electronic technology absolutely on watch here. NVIDIA and Qualcomm both strong. Qualcomm had its report yesterday, and Apple on watch ahead of its report tonight. So keep an eye on this whole technology sector with earnings still in focus, guys.
All right.
By the way, I half knew that nothing in the healthcare was going up. That's why I was like, I hope there's something that's doing a move other than just Pfizer. But Border Collie just made a good point. I want to address it. Why is Neil, I'll just read it for you guys right here. Why is Neil biased or assuming Carvana should rock it up? On the contrary, I've been making money shorting it. Congratulations. The stock got overbought big time, profit takers on the move, and short sellers. So again, everyone has to trade their own style. I didn't have a short setup that I liked. I'm not gonna, it is what it is. Like I can say that if it broke the bottom, it might have halted to the downside, but it didn't really set up anything crazy that was gonna give me a short opportunity. So what I'm looking for is a very specific, I wanna look for a squeeze. If I see something strong, I wanna take a setup that I like. And to me, that has a lot of room to the upside, even if it weren't to break that high of the day. Once it held VWAP, I'm gonna go for the VWAP long. I'm gonna go for a scalp long on a breakout. Like those are trades I've done before on Carvana and I like. So you just have to figure out what you're looking for. I mean, if you look at this, you could be short off the highs or long off the bottoms, and this is a complete wedge pattern that anybody could be winning on. It's literally done almost nothing here if you look at Carvana. So I don't think it's really even decided yet on this stock, and there are strategies that can be working for people. I just came in looking for some specific long setups, and if they start happening, then I'm gonna go into some long trades. And again, that's just the plan I was looking for. Didn't have a short setup. Although I did.
Look at SMH.
It's some different ones that we do like some shorts on, like Peloton would be an example of that. But that's, it goes without saying, Peloton's dying.
Oh man, that's a dollar club right there. Here we go. Yeah, no, nice move down for SMH, man. I mean, look at this. We just talked about that this would be the one for us. And bang, 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 $1.20 right there on SMH. No more bids, man. Let's see how low can it go. The amount of net that we had made P&L wise yesterday on that dump into the afternoon is making me think about holding this to how low can SMH go. I mean, we're still up on SMH, so answer that question. And then AMD right now faded off VWAP. That should have been a trade there. If I wasn't in SMH, you guys know I'd be all over that one. And then NVIDIA as well. I'm only looking at these two names when I'm looking at anything, and it's more NVIDIA. I don't even, I mean, let me see what the weighting is here. SMH weightings. I mean, I know it's going to be significantly one way. Here we go, ETF. Oh no, I should have asked Perplexity. Probably better than that, than what we're doing right now. Okay. Here we go. I'm just trying to search with you. Like, why does it take me to ETF.com here? All right, SMH, where is the constituents on the SMH? But okay, so I don't see it, but it has to be here somewhere. I don't even know this website. But we're going to find that out, and then, that's something that you should know. Oh, there it is, holdings.
I got
yeah, I got it now. Okay, so here it is right here. So this is what we're talking about. I mean, that's why I said obviously it was going to be NVIDIA. But there's TSM, Broadcom, okay, and then there's AMD. So we're pretty much exactly looking at the two that we need to be. Taiwan Semi is here again as well. But this has been something that you could look at if you wanted to diversify into these names. And then good for everybody, Intel's just 4%. Qualcomm also 4% in there as well. So again, Lam Research, ASML, I mean, this is why we love the SMH. I mean, a little bit of everything in there for you. So there's NVIDIA, but okay, SMH again, easily the number one stock. It's not even close right now. So SMH, nice move to the upside. Microsoft is another good P&L name for me. And then Tesla, unfortunately, I still like to short, I think, a little bit better. We'll wait to short that around 179. But I'm just going to wait for SMH. I feel like we could go red on this thing. So that would be down here, 207. I'm going to put a bid at 207.50, and then all of a sudden that P&L hopefully will start dancing.
Yeah, it's all about dancing, and you got to just find the right partner, is my segue to that.
That's a good one.
Or whatever, look, it's the right partner for you. You know, everyone's going to be a little bit different, like I said. I've now put the trail on. I said if we broke the local high on Fastly, next step would be to trail it out. I took a little bit more profit. I'm going to hold, like I said, for the pre-market high. Still going to do it. But now I'm trailing underneath 835. So no more VWAP. The SSR bounce play was probably the cleanest on Fastly, more than any of these other ones. No question about that. The other VWAP play, you've already mentioned AMD. The other VWAP play that I was patiently waiting for a top on, ARM usually at VWAP, I anticipate a break. Like it'll get there and then you short it and then you want to let it get a chance to go above to take the rest. So I'm still going to go with the same thing here where I want to get a piece, but then I want to allow it to break the high and maybe give me something in the 98, 80, 99 range. That's generally what I like to work with on ARM. Peloton, it broke that 3. It's SSR, so you can't hit the bid. Any pop back into $3 I still think is a short. But hanging on to the longs that have been working out. Pfizer's still trending into the upside there. Want to respect it. But ARM is now finally giving that move off of VWAP. It kind of took a while, but you had to wait for this to get there. It took like a half an hour, actually more than that. Like this bottomed out at 10:09. It's been 40 minutes grinding back to VWAP to finally get here.
Yeah, money buys you a lot of things, and we can see that Jeff Bezos is just one of those dudes. Like this was an amazing thing. Like shout out to Adara that sales in 2006 when AWS launched was 21 million yearly. Today they make 21 million in 2 hours. Look at this guy. Right. I mean, this guy was bald then. I mean, like from going to looking like this now, I mean, I don't know if you see this guy walking around now. This guy's jacked up and has like, piece on his side. That is for sure.
These days.
And then a big shout out right now to, I just saw your super chat right here. What's up, Jesus? Right now, I've got on the 550s. So it's just the New Balance 550s is what we have on right now. So basic kind of shoe. Yeah. So we'll have that on there, but comfortable and good. I don't remember what we had yesterday, but yeah, if you're going to keep on asking, I'll keep on telling you. So yeah, New Balance 550s for today. All right, was that a call for Adara? Yep. All right, Adara.
I think so.
Talked all day about the strength of some of these Chinese ADRs. PDD here making new highs of day as we speak and seeing a bit of a resurgence in volume here. So you can see in these last couple candles, PDD trading amidst overall strength in Chinese ADRs after some strength overseas in Hong Kong. Up right now over 9%. Nice look there.
Duo. As usual, that stock is tending to lead the way for the Chinese ADRs. I mean, it has been on the daily chart for a while, although for my money, I think the value is in the beaten up ones that have some catch up to play. Like Pinduoduo, if you look at the daily charts, it's already run. Alibaba can have its time to shine. NVIDIA is at VWAP, and this is the chip name that I don't feel is looking like as much of a short as the others. It's up 1.25. Sorry, it's up 1.4%, more than 1.25. And if this gets through VWAP, I'll be looking for a long opportunity there. But the next thing, I'm already into ARM off VWAP, is going to be a dip into Pfizer. So the breakout price was about 27.60. I got long in here with some at 70 and then some at 71. I'm looking for a long just out in front of VWAP to continue this trend into the upside on Pfizer. Strong one, up 1.9%, kind of bucking the trend that you see in its relative space in healthcare, but that's nothing new. When the rest of healthcare was doing well, they were doing poorly, so now that they're doing well, everything else is doing poorly.
All right, like I'm really, really happy that Alibaba is going here, but we had nailed that within 20 cents, and we went long. At least we held it, made some of that money back. But wow, what an impressive day for Alibaba. We talked about the breakout. It's all over the sticking out. It's all talked about that. If you like the breakout trading, today Alibaba had some crazy dip buys and an amazing breakout trade. It had each, no matter what style of trader you are, if you're one of those two, this had both for you today. That is Mr. Alibaba, because, you know, they found Jack Ma. So, all right, let's go back over to Adara and Money Talks.
DXY back to the bottom of this range that we have been stuck in for the last couple weeks here. Right now, back at this 105.80 area. So we'll have to continue to wait and see if the DXY does break out of this range of that 105.80s base up into that 106.40s top, because right now we are still trading within it, even after the movements that we saw yesterday after Fed Chair Powell took the mic and said that they are not seeing a rate cut as the next move, or at least that it's highly unlikely that that will be the case. We did get some economic numbers coming earlier today. Factory orders month over month for March exactly in line with expectations here of 1.6%. U.S. unit labor costs quarterly for Q1 coming in a bit higher than expected here, 4.7% versus 3.6% estimated. And initial jobless claims coming in below the estimate, 208,000 versus 212,000 expected. We don't have any more economic data coming today, but be aware we do have President Biden scheduled to speak at 4:30, which could move the DXY. Tomorrow, of course, at 8:30, we get the hotly anticipated non-farm payrolls, so definitely stay tuned for those right before they open there at 8:30 a.m. Then later, tomorrow night, we get at 7:45 comments from Feds Goolsbee and Feds Williams, so keep an eye on that, guys.
Ian Williams, it sounds
Not Goolsbee.
I know. Oh, what we have to put up. No, it's fine. There is one name that I should have looked at it already. This will be one that I know I shouldn't say I know, but I'm pretty certain that this should be exciting on the recap show, and that's going to be Block. So Block, maybe not the best of news with regards to possibly doing some transactions on crypto for terrorists, but at the end of the day, it is what it is, and it's recovering today. So let's be real. It had the quadunk yesterday. They report after the bell today. All I see is a dip into the previous close, holding the line at 67, and then now holding under VWAP. I think when you liquidity grab underneath and trap some shorts, that's a good opportunity for a long. So it's forming an upward trend. It's holding on to VWAP. I hadn't looked at this today. It was on my list of things to go over, but there was just nothing that stood out. And now all of a sudden it's got a decent setup. So I'm going to get into this one off of VWAP. The market's holding steady, but I think you got a couple of factors here. Relief rally from yesterday's move down, going into a report, a bit of a bounce in crypto is going to be able to help it out there, relative strength into the market, and then now holding VWAP. There's enough in there that I'll take this long off of 68 even. On Block, let's see what they can do.
Yeah, will Block get Mutombo'd tonight? And we will say, not in my hut.
Best shot blocker in the NBA right now, your money?
Scotty Barnes, no. Best shot blocker? I don't know. There's probably somebody I don't know about.
Scotty's a good defender for a
He's
small
a great
forward.
defender. Honestly, I don't.
Traditional shot blocker. The problem is I'm not a huge Rudy.
Hakeem Olajuwon, is he still playing? No.
I don't like Rudy that much, but he's probably the best. I'm just not a fan of his.
I mean, you see the highlights. I feel like best shot blocker, there's got to be some like athletic wingman that, you know, the guy that was one of my favorite. Oh, Dwayne Wade. Yeah, I mean, Best shot blocking guard over here, says Silverback over here. Okay, so that's right.
It is Captain Protein.
That's right. I have so many names for this guy.
Captain Protein.
I like the Captain Protein one. The
No, that's
Silverback
better.
is not mine. That's when he was on the show and everyone was putting that in there. No, what I was going to say is that one of my favorite Raptors of all time, the athletic wing of Tracy McGrady, that defense on that kid was ridiculous. And you're going to watch some of those blocks come through. So I feel like there's probably some of that out there, but yeah, anybody in the chat, like, okay, yeah, Wemby.
No, everyone's gonna say, yeah, Wemby.
Patrick Ewing.
I mean, he's 7 foot a million.
All right.
Patrick Ewing was.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said Olajuwon.
There's a lot of old centers I'll put before Patrick Ewing.
when you're
shot
7
blocking.
foot
Olajuwon, David Robinson, come on.
For Wembenyama.
I mean, nothing against the New York Knicks, but I'm pretty sure Mark
the
Eaton
Raptors
was as
are
good of a
getting
shot
Wembanyama,
blocker.
I heard.
That's right, I said Mark Eaton.
Manute Bol, yes.
Well, I mean, Manute Bol.
I like Bol. Bol.
I have issue with Bol.
Really?
Bol could be doing some things that Wemby is doing. Just from his pure skill set, it's like.
No, but
I
sports
feel like
is not
you should-
about
No, I know.
skill set,
It's not just about that.
drive.
It's about where he was when he came into the league, and
I
everyone
know
was saying a lot of the same stuff.
I know.
And all of a sudden, obviously Wemby's taking the cake, but Bol, he just hasn't really developed in any way his game. And I think it's still there. He's still relatively young. Like, it could all happen for him. But, like, I'm surprised that Chris Boucher is a better player than Bol. Like, that to me, when
Boucher might not even be in the league.
Yeah, but he's still better than Bol right now because he hits his threes, he blocks some shots. Anyways, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. They'd be probably better coaching over there. Thanks
agree.
for bringing it up again. Like, another name just continues to pump higher here, Tesla. I did have a 178 break long on that, but we didn't take it just because it kept on bouncing here. It was right, if you come over to my screen quickly, we only have 5 minutes left. It's right there. It's like we kept on breaking and then coming back in. So I didn't feel comfortable on that last break, but we should have took that. Like, we're learning more and more as we go here. When stocks fail, they're actually giving you like great opportunities to go the other way. So watch out for that there on Tesla. Like, there it is, fail, base, go. So we have to be able to watch out for that again. But everything's going well for us. Apple's still in there. SMH is still in there. And like I said, we are up. We are up on the day since 9:34. So, but we are red today here, and there's. It's been a tough day. I'll leave it at that. But that's what it is. So we're not red in any way that there's a problem. But it was that one trade there on Apple. We're green since then, but haven't been able to battle it all back. So, join me at 2 o'clock when we will be green.
Yeah, it's one of those types of days. I'm just looking through as well. Like, I'm probably 1 for 3. I'll be slightly down. If I don't trade that Carvana, I actually would be slightly up. But I think it's been a wash. Like, what I was expecting to be the big opportunities, flat out never came. So there hasn't been like, yeah, this is a smash spot. Like, Carvana never gave me a smash spot. Let's be real for a second. I was pretty convinced there would be like a post-halt trade this morning was going to be in the cards for me on Carvana, which I do like taking some of those. It just never happened. The newest thing we got into was square off of VWAP. If it breaks that high, we'll look for the stair step up. Dips into VWAP, consolidations, at least on the way to this high at the open yesterday, which is like 69.40. So if it gets to 69.40, I think it's a different story on block. Block square, doesn't matter what you want to call it. Thank you, Kevin Mendoza. We appreciate you. It's what it's all about. Like, every single day is going to be different. In the markets, you can never really predict the type of market you can get. You can just trade the one that you have in front of you. I know it's an obvious thing to say, but sometimes you got to say the obvious. It is what it is. VWAP has come in on Intel. It's taken a minute, but it's back at VWAP. I'm in at 40s. This is not the pre-market. This is the opening range bottom at 30.50. I want to give it to that. If I get any more fills, I want it to break VWAP, give me fills in front of the 50 level, like I call them money fills, like above resistance, and then into the 50. And if it makes a down move under VWAP, then I'll add underneath. So we're back into Intel here. Let's be real. This stock, while it's nasty, I should give it the credit that it is bottomed at $30. So there's a limit to how much I would want to fight this because you did bounce off 30 yesterday and are technically put in a higher low. So if it trends above 30.50, I'm not averse to looking for long opportunities in this stock, but they have to be above VWAP. That's what we'll wait around for on Intel. But I will acknowledge, Intel's up today, and it's making a higher low off the 30 even dollar level. It could be making a turn after that earnings flush.
Everybody in the chat, thank you. And we are almost done, but everybody here is like wanting to know what's for lunch. But unfortunately, there's no lunch.
Always
No,
a
there's
lunch.
no lunch. There's no lunch. I mean, I don't have the thing. There will be.
I don't have it.
Ramin, don't worry. There will be some kind of lunch, but for right now, there is no lunch as we go. So right now, nothing on the lunch docket for now. All right, there goes market. I'm more, so we just got out of SMH. It broke that 210, but again, we take a 20-cent hit on that one. It's still well up on SMH as we've talked about that. But yeah, there we go. There goes Tesla now, just $2 in the money off that posted 178. But it was a little bit of a difference maker down there. Yeah, chill vibes. I mean, that's what's waking up right now. It looks like the chip names as these are starting to go. There's AMD right at VWAP again. Oh no. All right, well.
NVIDIA is going to break 850.
It's too bad. Yeah, it's too bad that we're like this close to everything right now because, do we even want to short this? All right, let's try a quick one here on AMD with the high being like, oh, there it goes. I was going to say like, where is the high here without getting too carried away? That high wick was 144.30-ish. All right, so let's see if we can get about a 30-cent win or so on this one as we'll average into that high just in case that was a little bit of a wick. Little shot here on AMD. Market at VWAP as well, so maybe there's a push down here coming. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, you wait for the levels. I mean, if VWAP's a retracement level and a downward trend, then you're going to take the shots where they do lie. I'm going to have my eyeballs on NVIDIA because if this breaks out from 850, I think you start looking for the stairs to the upside, at least in this particular name. It's already past 11, so we're going to get to the midday. However, Fortuné just said in the chat, Toronto has a place that delivers General Tao.
Perfect. Send it.
Pizza.
Send it.
Let me know where that is. I'm not making this up. When I was a trainee, and Sean knows this, the office location for the trading floor was around the corner from the best General Tao chicken in the entire city, and I would eat that like twice a week. That is one of my favorite dishes of all time. So I don't know the name of the place you're talking about, but if this is General Tao Pizza, I want it. Let us know in the chat. Let's send it on over.
I mean, probably no. I'm saying I've seen it before, but if it's like a highly rated place,
I want to know.
We'll have to look for that.
Let us know. Let's get to the midday. It is Learn to Trade. It is Sharif. It is Adara. Go get them.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as that midday show that comes on after the big